Douluo, my martial spirit is a system. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176, Water and Fire Crab. Water and Fire Crab? What type of soul beast is this? Could it be very powerful? Could it be that it can breathe fire and spit water? In that case, if we prepare another pot, won't we just wait for the food to be served? Fei doesn't know what a water and fire crab is, nor has he seen what kind of soul beast a water and fire crab is, but if it can be called absolute attack and defense by Guagua, at least in terms of strength, it must not be easy. And pay attention to the 6,000-year soul beast. As Guagua said, once the strength of the soul beast exceeds 5,000 years, it will be improved like a qualitative change. This is very similar to the fact that a 1,000-year level soul beast becomes a 10,000-year soul beast. Soul beasts over 5,000 years old have experienced a qualitative improvement in both wisdom and strength. Even if they encounter a weaker soul master or soul beast than themselves, they will never attack directly. More or less they will pay attention, or you will take a good look and compare before you make a move. Intellect. When spirit beasts appear intelligent, it can represent that their overall strength has begun to change. Ordinary soul masters may not care about these, but simply regard it as a soul beast whose strength will definitely increase after it has been cultivated for more than 5,000 years. Cough, cough, pay attention. This water and fire crab is not for eating. I think you little dolls are too optimistic. Quack was very angry. This is the most perfect soul beast that it has worked so hard to find, and it is said to be a dish. Isn't this too embarrassing? However, the strength of the water and fire crab is not that simple, and it is still a 6,000-year-old water and fire crab. Even if it encounters some 8,000-year-old soul beasts, the water and fire crab can still suppress the battle. I'm not too optimistic. I just want to make a joke before I die. Yi Lanshan suddenly said such an unbelievable sentence. Under the surprised eyes of others, Yi Lanshan slowly explained. The water and fire crab has two attributes of water and fire, and these two attributes are attached to the two pincers. Similarly, because it has an extremely hard shell and special similarly, it cannot be controlled by special control soul skills, because it has no senses, and its speed is extremely fast. Although it can only walk sideways, it is almost 10,000 years old. Soul Beast or Soul Sect, a soul master can't keep up with its speed at all. It is also known as the killer that restrains any restrictive soul skills. So smart. Seeing Guagua's proud expression and Yi Lanshan's personal explanation, Fei had no choice but to believe that the power of this water and fire crab was really as terrifying as it said, and it possessed many abilities to restrain soul skills. The most obvious thing is the restraint control system. Wouldn't it be easier if our attack type soul masters confronted him directly? Yan looked at Yi Lanshan with some doubts. Although they had learned a lot about spirit beasts, they were really undecided about the water and fire crabs, a kind of unheard of spirit beasts. They didn't disbelieve Yi Lanshan's words. After all, Yi Lanshan's master was undead Douluo, and it must be quite normal for him to teach more knowledge about soul beasts than them. Yi Lanshan shook her head. A little helplessness appeared on her solemn face. Attack and defense. Just like the absolute attack and defense that Guagua said, the power of this water and fire crab is very special. Just take your fire attack and Sister Huoral's fire attack as examples. Because the water and fire crab has these two attributes, it has a certain ability to resist fire. Even if it is not immune to fire, it still has a sharp weapon against fire. Water attribute. No one thought that this water and fire crab would be so perverted. Fei calmly analyzed it. Since it is a crab, and it is a special crab, it is absolutely impossible to use brute force. It must be outsmarted, and this outsmart requires the gathering of everyone's strength. Follow everyone's martial soul, and maximize the combined power. Not to mention that this is the fundamental purpose of the trial. There is another point, that it is impossible to resist this water and fire crab with the strength of only one or two people. Yi Lanshan showed a helpless expression. This was the first time Fei saw it. Definitely the first time she saw it. Although this sense of helplessness is not very heavy, it still makes Fei feel a little palpitated. How about it? Are you still joking? Come and make a plan first, and take this opportunity to restore your peak state. It's still early, don't worry, I'll go to the tree to catch up on sleep. I'm ready. I'll wake up naturally when I'm ready. Don't call me. You can tell them what Sister Life knows. You guys come up with a solution yourself, but I think that even if you come up with a plan yourself, you may not be able to beat the water and fire crabs. After all, this type of soul beast is very special. Guagua patted his mouth and yawned. The sleepiness in his blue pupils gradually faded away, and then he jumped up and landed directly on a big tree, just as he himself said, "It is now its time to catch up on sleep, or simply sleep in the cage." Fei and the others were left staring at each other. Do you think Mr. Guagua is too confident? Or do you think we can beat that water and fire crab at all? Hulina looked at the few people gathered together and asked, a little confused. It must be too self-confident. I'm not afraid of anything, and the big deal is to break it with a single sword. My sword intent is invincible, and my sword heart is invincible. In the field of swords, I must reach this level. This is the conclusion I came to after comprehending the flying sword martial soul. Zhu Jiangxing's immature face actually showed a breath of a powerful swordsman, which made people really feel the strength of the will of the sword, and also felt the power of the sharpness brought by the flying sword martial soul. That's right. So what if it has a certain fire resistance? I'll let it feel what a fist of fire is called with one punch. Ziyu said, "What's your name? Are you each promoting your own strength? Isn't this what Teacher Gua said about conceit? Take a look at the 6th younger brother and 7th younger sister. Both of them are very serious, and their strength is comparable. We all want to be strong, but are the two of you talking big? And why did Mr. Gu ask us to discuss it? Do you feel that you don't trust us? This is to let us recover our physical strength, to restore our physical strength. And what is the purpose of the communication? Isn't that just asking us to use a respective wisdom to find a way to crack it? And this is a team trial. Don't you all want to promote your own strength? This is the behavior of fools. Brother Ziyu, what do you say?" End of this chapter. Chapter 177, Water and Fire Crab. What should I do? Ziyu showed a difficult expression. Although he said so, he really didn't think of a way. Facing the absolute offense and defense of the water and fire crab, what kind of contribution can I make? Can you win the battle? Subconsciously, Ziyu's eyes fell on Fei again. 6th brother, tell me, what should we do? Facing this water and fire crab, Nana soul controlling effect is obviously not so obvious, and then we can combine the power of the assault department with the strength of the agility department. Break through this water and fire crab. Also, can my second soul skill, poison, have any effect? To tell you the truth, I met a tortoise in the trial way before, and it was a millennium level tortoise. Before that, I felt that I was bound to lose, but after using my second soul skill injection, after soaking up the venom, cut into the weakest part of the land turtle, and the land turtle completely lost its breath of life under one blow. Land tortoise? Is it the land tortoise with the most terrifying shell defense? Brother Ziyu is mighty. Zhu Jiangxing knew the prestige of that land tortoise. Normally, he seemed to be carrying a mountain on his back and walking around everywhere. Defensive ability is absolutely unique. Don't compliment me, I just accidentally discovered the weakest part of the land turtle. Otherwise you may not see me. After all, it is a 1,000-year land turtle. If such a soul beast, it would be extremely troublesome to solve it without finding the weakness. So can the 7 of us find the weakness of the 6,000-year-old water and fire crab? And we don't know much about water and fire crabs. What you said is not wrong. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win 100 battles. The water and fire crab is different from the land turtle. The weakness of the land turtle is hidden on the rocks on its back. Although it seems that its defense ability is amazing. In fact, as long as the weakness on its shell is defeated, it can be defeated. It defeats. But the water and fire crab is different. The weakness of the water and fire crab is protected by a hard shell. Fei suddenly said, then how about we break the surface a little bit? Determine a point to attack with all our strength. If the water and fire crab discovers our purpose, the soul master of the agility attack system will carry out uninterrupted attacks. eyes. In the same way, as long as we open a point, Brother ZU can use the second soul skill to inject the venom into the water and fire crab's body, and then it can be easily defeated. Does it break the surface a little bit? Can it be broken even with absolute defense? No, Fei. In this case, we might as well attack the water and fire crab's eyes directly. The water and fire crab's eyes are very small, and they also have a shell to protect them, but if you think about it, it is definitely the weakest part of its whole body gone. Fei thought about it for a while, and this seemed to be a solution, but it was extremely difficult. If you follow the method Lan Shan said, one thing needs to be confirmed, that is, the accuracy of your own soul skills must reach a perfect level, and you know it before. This water and fire crab can only walk sideways, but its speed is extremely fast. In this case, if you want to completely defeat a layer of defense, you must have both strength and precision. Indeed, if you follow Yi Lanshan's suggestion, it will be much better than Fei's method of attacking other places and using agility attack system soul masters to continuously restrain them. After all, Fei's method is to find the weakest spot on the water and fire crab. Where is the weakest spot more than the eyes? Even if this water and fire crab is called absolute defense by croaking, it doesn't have any ability to completely cover the eyes with a shell, right? Perhaps it is for this reason that the water and fire crab's eyes are very small, so that it can protect other parts of itself from being attacked. Even if the calculation book escapes, it is a good guarantee. I think it's okay. That's right, this method is indeed feasible. It not only uses the attack power within our ability, but also can be used to train our soul skills with precision. Perhaps this is the purpose of Teacher Guagua. As he said that, everyone's eyes turned to Guagua, who was lying on the branch of the tree, as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. Fei nodded. Well, maybe this is the best solution in front of us, but before we see the real water and fire crabs, everything is variable, and the battle of soul masters is not easy. You have to be resourceful too, and the first thing we need to do is keep ourselves and others safe. If it becomes very miserable and embarrassing because of the victory, it will be terrible. The others also nodded. What they were facing was not a soul master. If it was a soul master who was in a panic, it would be nothing more than a broken arm or something. And facing such a soul beast, the embarrassment he encountered would probably mean death. How about we first determine the division of labor? Of course, the main thing is to talk about what kind of abilities you can use with your own soul skills. ZU suggested. Well, yes, we haven't had a good communication since we obtained the second soul ability, so we can just take advantage of this opportunity to have a chat. My second soul skill, as I said before, possesses the poison of the dark moon miasma beast, and this poison is added to my Wuhan moon blade, so as long as it comes into contact with my moon blade Wuhan, it was directly eroded by the venom of the dark moon miasma beast. Similarly, my second martial spirit can also carry out long-range attacks in the form of moon blades, but I'm not very good at controlling the accuracy rate. If combined with my first soul skill, it can be strengthened type moon blade. The attack power will never let you down, and my martial soul also has a very special magical function. It can simulate a soul skill once, whether it is other people or my own. It can be simulated, of course. It's just that the shadow of the soul ability will definitely be weakened a lot in all aspects, but in my opinion, sometimes it may have unexpected effects. ZU's Moonblade is a very special martial spirit. After all, he has two moon blades. If there is only one moon blade, his own talent or his own strength may drop a lot, but it is completely different to own two moon blades. Two moon blades can release two identical attacks at the same time. This kind of attack is like the contrasting moon shadow. It can continue to be simulated 1-to-1. In fact, it is also a special method of using the moon blade. It was found out, and the inspiration also came from Fei's reenactment of Wuhan. End of this chapter. Chapter 178 Water and Fire Crab. Copy soul skills? Why didn't I hear you say that your soul skills still have such power? Could it be the power brought by the second soul ring? Then can you copy a martial soul? Hulina looked at ZU in surprise. She had never known that ZU's martial soul had such an ability to copy soul skills. So could it also copy a martial soul? Nana, you are joking. How can it be possible to copy the martial soul? The martial soul is specific to each person and is determined from birth. How can it be copied? But the sixth brother is an exception. His replica, the ability, is very special. Fei smiled embarrassingly, and he simplified his description of his ability to copy martial souls before, so that he became the replica martial arts that other people talked about, which is the same as Ziyu's ability to copy souls. Lanshan, how will you introduce your abilities later? How should I briefly introduce them? Judging from other people's words, it seems that they have described their own soul skills and martial soul characteristics. It was obviously impossible for Fei to tell all of them. This was simply unrealistic. His martial spirit was very special, and his soul skills were also very special. If we simply talk about the chaotic villain, then it is a pity. The chaos villain doesn't have any special abilities. Even after adding a spirit ring, it seems that there is no special change, except that he eats everything. Well, you can just briefly describe the ability of Izanami's martial soul. Don't worry, I will smooth things over for you. Don't worry. Yi Lanshan's words reassured Fei a lot. Indeed, if he simply talked about the ability of Izanami's martial soul, it would obviously only surprise other people, and not admire them. What about you? Lanshan, your martial spirit is not simple, is it? But it doesn't matter, I will cover it up for you. I don't have to worry too much. My profession is a soul master of the auxiliary system, so I just need to talk about the effect and scope of the treatment. It looks much easier than me. Fei couldn't help feeling that, although the villain of chaos had brought him many benefits, he was too unsweetable to integrate into a team. The secrets of himself would be peeled off layer by layer in the gradual battle and life. Isn't that true? It can be concealed simply by concealing it. Don't worry about anything, I'll be with you. That's what Yi Lanshan said in the last sentence. At least that's what Fei heard in his mind. Fei couldn't help being very happy, and at the same time, he also determined a more perfect route and established goal. My martial soul is the Lord of Fire. The first soul skill, before, can be said to be the powerful power of the flame after being possessed, and then wrapped around my body. It can reach the power of a flame fist, and I have obtained the second soul ring. I have a special soul skill, Fire Wing, because I absorbed the fire cloud crane, and now I have mastered the flying soul skill. Yes, you heard it right, it is the flying soul skill. And the fire cloud crane bestows, in addition to flying, his soul skill also has the ability of falling fire rain. Of course, if he wants to cast fire falling rain, he must fly above the enemy. After controlling the soul power, the fire wings can drop flames and cause damage to the enemy. Flying soul skill? I'll go. Can I fly? Is it so powerful? Others were more or less surprised, but as a strong attack type Yan, possessing such a soul skill can cause damage to the opponent from more aspects. Of course, if there is only simple flying, then this soul skill, the skill, is a little tasteless, but with the blessing of Ho, it can definitely be regarded as a perfect soul skill. My martial spirit is a demon fox. No, third sister, if I'm not mistaken, your martial soul is now a two-tailed demon fox. Yi Lanshan casually reminded her. At the same time, he said to Fei, use other people's light, to surprise other people, to cover up our specialness. Smart enough. But what the hell is the two-tailed demon fox? Fei expressed his admiration for Lanshan's wisdom and ability to adapt to changing situations. Hulina was also stunned and asked Yi Lanshan, a little puzzled, seventh sister, what does this two-tailed demon fox mean? Isn't my martial soul a demon fox? Although it is very special, it is called a demon fox. Yi Lanshan explained slowly. Guagua also said before, third sister, that your martial soul can evolve, right? It's true, but I don't think it's practical, so I didn't take it to heart. What's the matter? Has it something to do with this? Yi Lanshan stretched out two fingers and said at the same time, Sanji, does your martial soul have two tails now? The demon fox with only one tail has now become a demon fox with two tails. We call it the two-tailed demon fox for short. The proof of Wuhan evolution. After you absorb the spirit ring, you will have such an effect. Hulina was still puzzled. Indeed, what Yi Lanshan said was absolutely correct. Her martial soul had indeed changed from one tail to two tails, but this was definitely a change that happened just now. So she was still very confused just now. Woolen cloth. But this tail was transformed by me just now. According to what you said, 7th sister, it should have such a change after obtaining the spirit ring, right? Yi Lanshan shook her head. In order to cover up Fei and her light, she should explain for Guagua and undead Douluo. Martial soul evolution is definitely not synonymous with this now, and no one knows how to do it. Your martial soul can evolve, which is also helped by quacking. If I guessed correctly, your mood has been improved just now. It is precisely because of this third sister that your martial soul can be improved and evolved at the same time. It has been said to this extent. How could Hulina not believe it? Didn't I just experience a huge change in mood? What I'm sure of is not simply an improvement in mood. At the same time, he also determined a goal for himself, an accurate goal for future cultivation. If this is a reason for the evolution of the martial soul that Yi Lanshan said, it seems to be a very good explanation. What kind of characteristics will the martial soul evolve? Hulina is very sure that her martial soul has evolved, but as Guagua said before, no one knows about the evolution of the martial soul. At least the current soul masters do not know. There is no known being. Yes, there must be. Every time you grow a tail, you can get different power blessings. Even a small increase in soul skills is okay. As long as you use the soul skills, more or less power will be enhanced. This point you can try to determine what the increase is, but this type of increase will only have an effect on yourself. End of this chapter. Chapter 179 USHOULDN and -039. TB the one who changed. Will growing a tail increase the power produced by the release of one's own soul skills? Then is it also related to the soul ring? For example, if I become a titled Douluo in the future, then my martial soul will become nine-tailed demon fox? Hulina looked at Yi Lanshan with a puzzled expression. Although this was her own martial spirit, it was obvious that she and even all of them were not as knowledgeable as Yi Lanshan in terms of martial spirit knowledge, but this was also a normal thing after all. As a disciple of undead Douluo, he has learned a lot about soul masters and soul beasts more or less. The first thing to bear the brunt is definitely this theory of martial soul evolution. The concept of Wuhan for soul masters is fixed, and if you want to change it, you will only be mutated type Wuhan, mutated type soul skills, and other special mutated types, and the rest have never been heard. Absorb the soul ring, to change the shape of the martial soul itself. Have connection. Yi Lanshan thought about it. She should explain it in an appropriate way. After all, the amount of information is too much. It always feels weird to say long words from her mouth. After absorbing the soul ring, it can be said that it provides you with an opportunity to evolve your martial soul, just like you absorbed the soul ring of the two-tailed demon fox before, so you already have the opportunity to upgrade your own martial soul. As long as one's own comprehension follows one's own comprehension again, one can complete the Wuhan evolution. That's why I say that you have determined your goal in the way of trial. At least you have discarded most of the distracting thoughts and redetermined your goal. In this way, you have succeeded, and you have successfully completed the martial soul evolution, from the original ordinary demon fox's martial soul to a two-tailed demon fox. Hulina nodded. That's right. What she experienced in the trial path was definitely a scene she would never forget in her life, and it was also her real turning point. Just like what Yi Lanshan said, she had set a goal for herself. The goal of the soul master to continue to practice. Subconsciously, Hulina looked at Yan who was at the side. Yan's eyes happened to meet Hulina at this time. Just now, Yan wanted to ask Hulina why she felt that after Hulina came out of the trial path, her expression was more or less sluggish, but Hulina's usual performance was too lively, and Yan already felt that Hulina was not what she used to be. The little girl has changed, or she has changed. The eyes of the two met, but they separated again in an instant, but the more or less rosy cheeks on Hulina made others look a little confused. Especially Ziyu, as Hulina's real brother. He looked at Yan with some astonishment, but finally smiled with relief. He really wanted to say, he really wanted to help his sister and his stupid brother break through this last layer window paper, but after thinking about it, I still don't want it. It's best if it happens naturally. Lanshan? What does this mean? How do you feel that the third sister and the second brother have some ulterior secrets? Could it be that they are together? You see, the third sister's martial soul is a charming demon fox. She actually blushed. Hey, it's not as good as when you blush, but I feel that the third sister and the second brother are definitely together. Bah. Did you see it now? The third sister's goal I mentioned, maybe a relationship that is not serious. Hey, it's like this at the age of 10, and the people here are really bold and open. According to the overall age of marriage in Douluo Continent, it is generally possible to have children at the age of 14 or 15. 14-5. After hearing Yi Lanshan's explanation, Ji Fei suddenly fell silent. It seemed that his imagination was too simple. My martial soul is now a two-tailed demon fox. The first soul skill is charm, which can temporarily control the opponent and also cause dizziness. Of course, the opponent must see the state of my martial soul. The skill is very special mental impact. I can stimulate the mental power to attack and imprison the opponent's actions, and at the same time, deprive the opponent of the soul skill that is being used. For the time being I call it silence. Is it from the soul ability of the two-tailed demon fox? Silence? What a special soul ability. If the opponent uses a very powerful soul ability, activate the silence to directly deprive the opponent's soul ability. It's so powerful, I don't know how much stronger than my flame fist. Yan said excitedly. Now the eyes of other people are more or less weird. Even Zhu Jiangxing and Huo Ro, who had been silent all this time, smiled at each other and said, second brother really understands third sister. Ah. No, I'm just happy that our team has such a special soul ability. If we have this kind of soul ability, even if we meet a water and fire crab, it will be a soul ability that can imprison the opponent very well, isn't it? Isn't it? Oh really? Ji Fei also spoke. Is it really for the team? I always feel that you are duplicity, second brother. Ji Fei continued to tease. Cough cough cough. Gua teacher asked us to discuss countermeasures. What are you doing? Ziyu hurriedly stopped seeing the atmosphere that was gradually being distorted. By the way, third sister, falling in love will help your martial spirit evolve. Yi Lanshan also imitated Ji Fei and said that to Hulina. Crit. This is definitely a crit. I'm afraid I have picked out all the hints before. Hulina's complexion became even more rosy. She muttered and said to Yi Lanshan, the back sounds are the same. You and the sixth brother really have a husband and wife look. Is this a just confrontation? Everyone saw that the two of them said things that they didn't dare to say and didn't have time to say, and they couldn't help but change the style of the whole team very well. Yeah, isn't it good to have a husband and wife? I like it very much. Third sister, you should take good care of it. From then on, everyone else knew the truth. In this team, don't tease the relationship between Yi Lanshan and Ji Fei, because they can sweeten you to death. Hulina didn't expect that Yi Lanshan, who was so much younger than her, would dare to speak so clearly. It seemed that she was indeed older, and she couldn't compare to others in doing certain things. Yan felt that he couldn't understand what the two girls were talking about. It's okay for Yi Lanshan to say, after all, she and Ji Fei have always had the most harmonious and best relationship, and what she said now is obviously to clarify the relationship between the two, right? But what happened to Hulina? Your face is also red. Ziyu felt extremely helpless looking at this topic that could not be brought back, and said secretly, it's over. My sister is also broken now. Can this team stay in the future? There are childhood sweethearts, love at first sight, and long-awaited Kai, and it's still my own sister. Well, Ziyu, has accepted my fate. It seems that, after I go back, I need to ask Master Undead to bring her into the team. End of this chapter. Chapter 180 USHOULDN and -039, TB the one who changed. Ji Fei and the others continued to discuss how to knock down the so-called absolute offensive and defensive water and fire crabs through everyone's efforts. Ziyu, Yan, and Hulina, the three people's martial souls and soul skills have been improved unprecedentedly during this period of time, and their levels have also been improved. Especially Hulina's martial soul has become a type that can evolve, is a more special existence. Ji Fei and the others all knew that the purpose of croaking was not to let them face the water and fire crab directly, but to prepare them to specify their own fighting methods, and then fight again. This also fully proves that the purpose of Guagua is to let them decide a perfect fighting method that takes everyone's cooperation into consideration. to defeat the water and fire crab. This looks very simple, but it is a bit difficult to do. As Yi Lanshan said, water and fire crabs are immune to many restrictive controls, and they also have two attributes of water and fire, and their solid shell is also a very powerful defense. If Fei and the others want to win, they need to believe and think from many aspects. My second soul ability is a bit special. It is different from the flying sword splitting of the first soul ability. My second soul ability has the attribute of thunder and lightning. I call it the Sword of Thunder and Lightning. This lightning attribute, the source is sword bamboo. Sword bamboo has sword intent, and usually contains a different special attribute inside, and the attribute of the sword bamboo that Mr. Guagua prepared for me happens to be lightning, so my second soul skills take into account both lightning attack and speed. A relatively perfect soul skill. Zhu Jiangxing thought for a while, and suddenly thought of the sword glow contained in his body. Also, although I don't know the specific function of this sword glow in my body, I feel that, as long as I have a use in my heart the idea of the sword, it will give me an indestructible feedback, and at the same time, it will be mixed with an unrivaled momentum of the sword. What Zhu Jiangxing said was relatively general, but everyone knows the sword spirit very clearly. Compared with the soul skills brought by the addition of the soul ring, the soul master of the sword spirit type is the most terrifying. It's the sword intent. The powerful sword intent is enough to crush most of the soul skills, even comparable to most of the high level soul skills. It seems that Giant Crossing has also obtained such a powerful soul ability. I never thought that we could obtain such a powerful soul ability before. If we didn't follow Teacher Undead and Teacher Quack, everything seemed out of reach. At least in the we may not have had such a significant change in the past 1 or 2 years. Yeah, I never imagined that I would have level 24 spirit power when I was 10 years old, and I would be able to go beyond common sense and increase the lifespan of my second spirit ring from 600 years in common sense to almost 990 years of the millennium. You know, the power brought by the age of the soul ring is very terrifying. If you go back and tell Master the principle of how to increase the level of the spirit ring, I'm afraid that Master will also be surprised. Then the Wuhan temple will definitely become stronger in the future. This will also allow Master to enjoy a lot of blessings, so you don't have to worry about it. It's been a lot of trouble. Master? Hearing Hulina's words, Fei asked with some doubts. Oh, you don't know yet. The master of the three of us is also a very powerful titled Douluo, and he is also the Pope of the Wuhan Temple. Hulina explained to Fei, although Undead Douluo has said a little bit before. Yes, but not quite. Although these things should be kept private, she felt compelled to come clean, at least to these partners. Hiss. Your Majesty the Pope. Zhu Jiangxing was extremely surprised. Is that the one who is said to have reached level 98? And he is also the person in charge of the spirit hall, and I heard that this majesty also has a 10-year soul ring. Then doesn't it mean that your master is fighting with the immortal teacher? The three of Xiaoyu shook their heads. We don't know about this. We know that the master is very powerful, but whoever is more powerful than the undead teacher, who has not tried it, who knows? Lanshan, who do you think is stronger? Fei was very curious about this. If the others present didn't know, Yi Lanshan must know. Yi Lanshan simply conveyed her divine thoughts. You can think about whether there is any comparison. Master Undead has survived from the distant Douluo era to the present. Do you think he is the most powerful soul master? And do you think the martial arts you saw is Hun his most powerful martial soul? Do you know why Guagua called Teacher Undead a greedy father? I don't know, but it is absolutely true that Master Undead is greedy. I heard that Wuhandian has the inheritance of the god position. The sudden Yi Lanshan said something like that. Divinity. Fei may not know much about other things, but he is definitely familiar with the word god position. Although he didn't understand the direction of the whole story before traveling, he also knew that Tang San became a god in the end, and he had basically never seen the rest or even the process. The inheritance of the gods is the proof left to the most powerful people in this world. They can become immortal gods, as long as they accept the inheritance. Then how could Master Immortal be able to beat God? Fei felt that, if he met God, how could a soul master be able to beat God? God, a mere angel god is nothing more than mere ears. Even if it is more powerful than the full version of Dragon God, it is not the opponent of Undead Teacher. Of course, there are many people like Undying Teacher. They have more powerful power than gods, they are immortal, and they live in this world forever. But as time goes by, they gradually lose their dreams and ambitions, from liking to change history to liking to record history. As a bystander looking at the direction of the world, even if the world is destroyed, they will survive in an invincible posture. This is God's punishment. This is shackles. This is the fate that belongs to Undead Teacher and the others. The same fate as the two of us. Yi Lanshan's expression gradually dimmed, and her mood seemed to become very unstable. Ji Fei didn't expect that talking about such a topic would cause Yi Lanshan to fall into such a state. Ji Fei stroked Yi Lanshan's hair, stared closely at Yi Lanshan's gloomy face, and said softly, "It doesn't matter, at least they are alive, right? Survive in this world with an invincible posture and an immortal posture." In reality, although the world may not know their existence, aren't the immortal teachers alive too? Have their own fun, have their own good friends, and live forever like this. Isn't it a pleasure? As you said, from liking to change the world to liking to record the world, doesn't this mean that you love the world more and more? End of this chapter. Chapter 181 USHOULDN and -039, TB the one who changed. Do you love this world more? Yi Lanshan kept murmuring what Ji Fei said, her expression seemed to be more painful. It's not the same. Do you know how many existences like Teacher Undead exist? Each of them has absolute power. They are usually restrained, and only publicize their evil tastes to others, because of their own reasons. They dare not touch the world of every era. They are lonely and helpless. Have you forgotten that feeling? Forgot? Ji Fei tried hard to recall, but he only felt that the words were a little familiar, but he didn't know how it was related to himself and Yi Lanshan. Although I don't know what the identity of Teacher Undead is, and I don't know how many people there are. Maybe I once knew it, but I forgot it now. If I have the ability, I hope I can change all this. I can be with me. Do you want to talk? ZU side is still discussing their respective strengths, and it seems that they have temporarily forgotten Ji Fei and Yi Lanshan who are relying on each other. Or it's not that they have forgotten, but they just don't want to disturb Ji Fei and Yi Lanshan, and now is the time to rest well. Guagua didn't wake up. It means that there are some people in their group who haven't recovered to the most complete state. Yi Lanshan said, "I don't dare to talk too much about the specifics. I just want to talk about some things about your problem before." That's fine. There are 16 people who are the same as the Undead Teacher. Each of them has different powers, and different powers represent different means. Do you still remember that the Undead Teacher mentioned before Quack came from a force in the ancient times of Douluo? The 16 people like him also came from that power, and it was precisely because of that power that all people were cursed by God's punishment. Powerful, but because of restrictions, they can't kill living beings at will, otherwise, it may cause divine punishment. Have you heard about the horror of divine punishment before? The wife of the immortal teacher. Ji Fei remembered it very clearly. I don't like to call them normal guys. I prefer to call them the 7 emotions and the 10 commandments. There are 17 of them in total. Each of them has different powers. The 7 emotions endow people with evil, and the 10 commandments condemn people to all sins. In the past, they judged everything in this world with everyone's supreme divine power, but then everything changed, because of one person. That is why Teacher Undead and the others were punished, and cursed by God. I can't tell, at least I can tell you, and now is not the time. Ji Fei was taken aback for a moment. This was obviously the most critical moment, but he could also feel some special emotions from Yi Lanshan's words. You mean divine power? Could it be that Teacher Undead is also a god? If they are not gods, how can they have divine power? Although Undead Douluo called himself Douluo, Ji Fei felt that he was far from that simple. That's right, they may also be gods, or they may be real gods. They are gods who guard this world. They have more powerful power than gods. They voluntarily protect the world with the goal of protecting the world as gods living. Also, and what you said just now is that as long as killing the existence with the attribute of life may cause divine punishment, then Master Undead killed a lot of soul masters before, right? Will this cause divine punishment? No, as I said, Teacher Undead and the others were not soul masters before, and the power of soul masters is only learned after they appeared in this world. An ancestor level martial spirit. It is said that the ancestor level martial soul is a kind of imitation. It can give other people martial souls and can also produce all the martial souls that can be obtained. Therefore, the undead teacher you saw before and the evil god Douluo used it when they fought against each other. The martial spirit they have is probably the weakest mimetic martial spirit they use on a whim. Also, the ancestor level martial spirit is different from the god level martial spirit. The ancestor level martial spirit does not need to hunt and kill spirit beasts to obtain spirit rings, and as far as I know, teacher undead does not like to kill spirit beasts, so why? Quack is the one who hunts soul beasts. Don't like killing soul beasts. How did the immortal master's soul ring come about? And there is a 10-year-old soul ring. Fei remembered it very clearly. The terrifying aura of undead Douluo's 10-year soul ring felt like crushing all soul power. Once the soul skills of that 10-year soul ring were released, the world would be in chaos of sinking. That's all created by Master Undead. It's the same as the previous battle between the Dragon Clan and the Soul Master. Teacher Undead can create a titled Douluo and can also bestow a soul ring. I remember Teacher Undead once said that, as long as I have a whim, I can create a soul ring comparable to that of ancient times, with a lifespan of hundreds of millions of years. As for the color, it depends on your own imagination. So powerful? Damn, that undead teacher can completely search for all the gold soul coins in the world, and he doesn't need to be stingy to save money and find us gold soul coins. But after saying this, Fei knew that he was wrong again. Yi Lanshan has already said that Teacher Immortal and the others have changed from liking to change the world to liking to watch the world. And liking gold soul coins may be just a bad taste. I think the position of Undead Teacher in your heart has been roughly defined now. Just as you imagined, Undead Teacher and the others are absolutely invincible on the mainland. There is absolutely no one who can refute this point. Whether it is alone Dao is still combined again, their strength is already above the pinnacle of this world, so the immortal teacher will only use his weakest method to kill the enemy, that is the power of the Soul Master. Precisely because of the Soul Master he will not be punished by the gods, because of the power of the Master. Maybe we will be lucky enough to see the true power of the immortal teacher, but we don't know how long it will take. After all, Teacher Undead and the others will only truly come when the entire continent is in ruins, like when the Dragon Clan comes to this world. Is it really about to be destroyed? Fei thought for a while, then there must be no more. If you get the Undead Teacher, you will go down there. Find something to do when you have nothing to do. Don't think about it. That must be to find a place, to find gold soul coins, or to search for treasures. This may be the strongest life in the world, simple and boring. It seems that those existences who are self-confident as being invincible are simply weak in front of the Undead Teacher. It seems that it is futile for me to think about what an existence stronger than the Undead Teacher will be like. No, yes, there are existences in this world that are stronger than the Undead Teacher and the evil god Douluo, of course. Such an existence is one or even several of those 17 people, and the one I remember most is a woman. Gluttony. End of this chapter. Chapter 180 to the Tree of Life. Gluttony? Fei firmly remembered this name. If he heard this name in the future, he really wanted to see what it was like to be stronger than Undead Douluo and evil god Douluo. Wait a minute, is it a woman? That's right, it's a woman. There are 2 women and 5 men in a team of 7 like Teacher Undead. How should I put it? This woman is very special. I don't know if she is also practicing as a soul master now, but she seems not on this continent. Not in this continent? Fei generally knew that this world was also similar to the place where he lived in his previous life, and it was not composed of a single continent. The so-called Douluo Continent was only named after the plate of this continent. Mr. Undead hasn't seen another existence like him for a long time. Of course, evil god Douluo is an exception. Does it exist to protect this continent? Not so accurate. To be precise, Teacher Undead and evil god Douluo are not guarding this continent. They just feel that if this place is subverted by external forces, then it will become more or less difficult for them to observe this world in the future. And you also know that Teacher Undead likes gold soul coins. If there is no soul master, where can I find gold soul coins? Fei rubbed his nose resentfully, recalling Undead Douluo's daily life. Hey, don't say it. What Yi Lanshan said is really reasonable. If immortal Douluo lacks the fun of searching for gold soul coins, then he really doesn't know what more wicked things he will do. Okay, you may not need to use these things in the future, just a general knowledge is enough. If it really becomes a last resort, I will explain it to you again, okay? Fei? Whenever Yi Lanshan's words had a touch of emotion, Fei had no thought of refusing. No problem, don't be too far-fetched. It's okay, it won't be far-fetched or anything, it's just, hey, you two, don't whisper anymore, aren't you ready yet? I asked you to rest and discuss the fight against water and fire crabs, not for you little dolls to talk about love. Quack yawned anthropomorphically and jumped down from the branch of the tree. It was very helpless to see the laughter on everyone's faces. How is it? Have you discussed the countermeasures? Everyone looked at Guagua. They didn't care about Guagua's questioning. What they cared about was the 4 words Guagua said. Talk about love. Fei acted quite naturally. He spoke first. Not yet. It's been a while. Our physical strength and soul strength haven't recovered yet, and we haven't finished introducing ourselves. You go to sleep after a while. Just sleep for a while. We will call you when we are ready. Guagua yawned again. That's it. Then you guys continue to discuss. Anyway, if you can't beat the water and fire crabs today, you don't even want to eat. Of course, if you can't beat the water and fire crabs, you can cook for me first. Everyone else can rest. Okay, it's okay to cook, but we have to wait until we finish fighting. Of course, is this water and fire crab delicious? If it tastes good, I will eat it today. I will make you a kind of fried crab in honey sauce. As soon as he heard the fresh food, Guagua's hazy sleepy eyes instantly lit up, as if he had seen some rare treasure. Even undead Douluo praised Fei's cooking techniques and taste. As a soul beast, it lingers and forgets to return. Okay, if you can't beat it, then I can only go out and catch a water and fire crab again. Anyway, no matter what happens today, I will eat the secret fried crab you mentioned. Of course now, Greedy Dad must also be present. Presumably you also want to show today's cultivation results in front of Greedy Dad, right? Fei and everyone nodded and said in unison, sure. Then work hard. You did a good job in the morning. Don't slack off in the afternoon, and you will have a big meal in the evening. Otherwise, you will be hungry in the evening. After finishing speaking, Guagua jumped onto the branch of the tree again. His small body seemed to fly straight up, and then landed steadily on the place where he slept before. His opened eyes closed instantly, and fell asleep in an instant state. Well, I want to ask, does Mr. Gu also hibernate like ordinary frogs? Mr. Gu is sleeping too fast, right? Hulina is very envious of this way of falling asleep directly on the head. If it is her, it is absolutely impossible to fall asleep in such a daytime situation. Yi Lanshan thought for a while, isn't it winter now? But the climate in the Los Grand Canyon is considered to be like spring all the year round, so croaks don't hibernate, but whether they hibernate or not outside of the Los Grand Canyon depends on that. No way of knowing. Is that so? I thought Mr. Quack was the same as ordinary frogs, and would hibernate in winter. It seems that powerful soul beasts don't need to hibernate. Okay, let's continue discussing the changes after each of them obtained their second soul skills, and passed their personal trials. Who is it? Yes, Huorao. It's time for Huorao. Huorao thought for a while. Her ability to discuss is not very good. She is the kind of action guy. If she organizes and introduces her soul skills through words, it is not impossible. My second soul skill comes from Clouded Leopard, which is similar to my spirit. As Teacher Guagua said before, after I absorb this soul ring, I have a speed increase, and I can perform the volley combo of Clouded Leopard. Accelerate the powerful attack power with extreme speed. Within a certain range, my speed is completely unattainable. At the same time, after passing the personal trial, I have roughly learned how to control it when using it. Save your own soul power at extreme speed. How is it? But I feel that the blessing this soul skill gives me is in terms of attack power and continuous attack, and other aspects seem to be slightly inferior. You don't look good like this. Ziyu covered her forehead. Fifth sister, you really don't know your current state. As a soul beast of the agility attack system, you actually have fast superimposed strikes. This is exactly the power that a soul master of the attack system should have. This is obviously what Teacher Gua wants you to have while becoming a soul master of the agility attack system. Also as a strong attack system soul master to change the situation of the battle. Yeah, that's right. Rorao, your spirit ability is simply invincible, and the speed you can't capture is what you have always wanted. If you think about it this way, do you still feel inferior? No more. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 The Tree of Life. Huarao's soul skills are still surprising, at least among the agility attack system soul masters. There are not so many who can have powerful strikes, and Huarao still strikes continuously, which is even more rare. It can be said that, although the Cloud Strike Leopard Spirit did not give Huarao the soul ability to fly, it gave her the title of absolute agility in the team. Very good. In this way, our plan may be successful. Lanshan has already said it before, the speed of the water and fire crab is very fast, and the ordinary agility attack system may not be able to keep up with its speed at all. Just now I still feel that it is impossible for Fifth Sister to follow the Shangshuho crab, but this time it will be fine. Jifei's words made other people see the terrifying aspect of Huarao's soul skill, but in their view, what they did without real combat was just to get to know other people simply. According to our previous deployment, if there is no agility attack system soul master who can follow the water and fire crab, it will be very difficult. That's right. The water and fire crab has more or less intelligence, so it will definitely disdain to fight with us children, and for it can kill us casually, but it doesn't care about it at all. Knowing what level our respective combat power has reached, in this way, we can catch it by surprise, but we must also prevent it from escaping at extreme speed. After all, tonight we have to eat the fried crab secretly made by the sixth brother. Jifei didn't expect these guys to think of such a far-reaching level. All he thought about was how to finish the battle quickly. After all, this is the last battle of today. As long as he finishes this battle, it's time to end the day with a real break. Although he is resting now, this kind of rest always makes Jifei feel uneasy. Next is Sixth Brother. Sixth Brother, we are really looking forward to what your third soul skill will be. What you told us about your Ian grade martial soul shocked us all. Really? It's too powerful. Ziyu stared at Jifei very excitedly. Jifei's first and second soul skills were far beyond his imagination, and Jifei was the first soul ring in their team to reach the existence of 1,000 years. Although the second the soul ring is 100 years old, but the third soul ring is 1,000-year soul ring, and it's still a fog monster. Jifei nodded. My third soul skill comes from the 1,000-year-old soul beast fog demon. This fog demon bestows on me a control type soul skill. Of course, it can be applied to my Izanami martial soul. This increases the range of the black mist of the first soul skill, which can roughly cover this large area. At the same time, the soul master and soul beast in the third soul skill will cause dizziness, timely dizziness, and it will also be accompanied by mental turmoil. Let the soul master or the soul beast lose its direction, and if it stays for a long time, it will reduce the various abilities of the whole body, whether it is a soul power or the strength of the soul skill. I call this soul skill a big lie. A big lie. And it involves such a range of soul skills, and it has so many attributes. It can reduce the soul power, reduce the resistance of the soul skills, and cause dizziness. It's terrible. Is this really a 1,000-year soul skill? Is it great? Jifei smiled slightly. This was nothing to him. His own Izanami martial soul could not be used as a main battle soul master, but as a control system and auxiliary system soul master, it was basically useless. A rival exists. Of course, if you compare it with an auxiliary soul master like Yi Lanshan, it's still far behind. After all, a professional assistant like Yi Lanshan is not easy, and Yi Lanshan's auxiliary soul skills are all very weird. Isn't it amazing? Ziyu asked hastily. At the same time, he continued, this soul skill can be used as a limit, and it is an absolute limit. Okay. although it may consume a lot of soul power. After all, this is a control type soul skill with such a range, and if I remember correctly, 6th brother, your soul skills will only cause harm to the opponent, right? I remember this very clearly. Whether it was the first time we met, you and the 4th brother and 5 sisters joined forces to defeat us, or the battle between the students at your Soul Master Academy, it was you who first used the control, and then used the second soul skill to deprive us. The opponent's soul power has completely restrained him to the point where he can't move, and then we will use your control type soul skills to attack the opponent. So, your soul skills have the ability to judge the enemy and the enemy. Fei was a little surprised. He never knew this. Isn't there a single soul skill? Does it only cause harm to the opponent? With doubts, Fei looked at Ziyu. Ziyu said, how is this possible? If that's the case, the Soul Master still has any damage ability, just like a pool of flames. Although you released this pool of flames, when you stand in it, you will also be destroyed. If the flame is burning, it is equal to the damage of the opponent, unless you take back the flame. Chaos Villain. Fei immediately attributed all this to the Villain Chaos. Since the soul skills cannot distinguish between the enemy and ourselves, then this must be the function of the Chaos Villain. Whenever Fei casts the engraved martial spirit, the chaotic villain will also appear at the same time. This chaotic martial spirit is very strange. It can swallow everything, and at the same time, turn the swallowed things into Fei's martial spirit, and even absorb the soul. Who didn't need Fei to work so hard to gamble his life? Just let the chaos martial soul devour the soul ring, to achieve the same effect as obtaining the soul ring. Of course, the powerful ability produced by devouring the soul ring will still be comparable to Fei's own through the chaos martial soul. It also has no substantive effect. Are you talking about your strange first martial soul? The villain who devoured your first book martial soul? The harder Fei tried to visualize what Fei was thinking, the more obvious it would be, and the same would be known to Yi Lanshan. That's right, I always thought that soul skills were divided into enemies and friends, and the soul skills themselves could continue to judge, but I always seemed to be wrong, and every time I released or changed my martial soul, the chaos of villains must be present to achieve such a goal. So I feel that there must be an inexplicable connection between the chaos martial soul and this. Yi Lanshan said, if you look at it this way, it's not a bad thing. On the contrary, it's a very good thing. End of this chapter. Chapter 184, The Tree of Life. First of all, we must remember that the martial soul is a kind of power that belongs to you. Therefore, the more wonderful the chaotic martial soul is, the better it is for you. Maybe your understanding of the chaotic martial soul is still too limited. You should more or less learn about the other functions of the chaos martial soul. This will be very beneficial for your future soul master training. Yi Lanshan's words were like a hammer hitting Fei's head directly. The blow was not a blow to the head, but a lot of clarity. It made Fei think of what the hell he had been doing all this time. It has always been planned that the function of the chaos martial soul is to devour soul beasts or plants, to obtain its martial soul, and at the same time it can devour some broken equipment, and then the equivalent chaos martial soul will spit out some divine materials. This made Chen Zhu think, what exactly did he take his martial soul for? It's just a dumpster, right? And I have never tried to use the chaos martial soul. As Yi Lanshan said, the chaos martial soul also has a soul ring. It must also be able to activate soul skills, instead of simply being able to swallow and produce a martial soul. Lanshan, thank you very much. Your words seem to make me suddenly enlightened. It seems that I have been wrong all this time. I have always paid attention to re-engraving the martial soul, but the re-engraving of the martial soul is not my own awakening. The martial soul is still too bad in terms of restrictiveness. It's good that you can think of this. It doesn't matter. Slowly find the magical effect of your chaotic martial soul. Just as you imagined, since it has a soul ring, it must be able to use soul skills. Fei looked at Ziyu and began to answer his question just now. That's right, brother Ziyu, my soul skills can clearly distinguish the enemy from the opponent. Of course it must be based on the premise that I don't have any hostile thoughts towards me. And my Izanami martial soul is very special. I can't use the full form. If I use the full form, it will be a kind of trouble for you. Trouble? The others were a little puzzled. Didn't they just say that as long as there is no hostility, there will be no problems? Why do you say that it will cause trouble to them now? The Izanami martial soul possesses a natural illusion, which can transform into the most awe-inspiring existence in your heart invisibly. Facing such an existence, you will be afraid, and the same will cause a certain shudder. It's quack. It actually woke up again. But its explanation is very clear. It just happens to belong to all the attributes of Izanami. This attribute is not a soul skill, so as long as you want to release it, it will be successful, and once successful, it will form a fixed form. So in the face of your favorite and most awe-inspiring existence, would you take a shot at it? Obviously unlikely. I see. I always thought it was some small method of the sixth brother, but I didn't expect it to be the magical effect of the martial spirit. But the Izanami martial spirit of the sixth brother is really powerful, and Izanami is one of the things we have never seen before. An existence that has never been heard of before. It is indeed worthy of the extremely perverted talent of the sixth brother. Guagua said slowly, isn't the introduction finished yet? I've been asleep for several minutes, and the time to get back to sleep shouldn't be too long. Fei said hastily, not yet, only Lanshan is left alone. Sister life. Guagua thought for a while, then hurry up, I feel a little empty in my stomach. Lanshan nodded, but it was just to reduce her soul skills. It's very simple. Although her soul skills are very special, it's enough to describe them a little bit. What I said about my own soul skills before was very general. Now let me speak formally. Everyone else is looking forward to it. This is very special. Every one of Lanshan's soul skills seems to represent the high ambition of an auxiliary soul master. As far as Ziyu knows, Kibao Linglong, the number one assistant in the mainland, can only increase attributes. But Lanshan's first soul ability can restore all soul power at once, and the second soul ability can also increase soul power. Teacher level ability, this is simply a perverted existence. So what will the third soul skill look like? Fei could probably guess that Lanshan would definitely not tell too much. After all, it was related to some of her own secrets, and in this regard, Lanshan's performance could be said to be absolutely unrelenting. Just like my blessings, when you were fighting before, my martial soul itself has the ability to heal, and the separated leaves can heal all injuries. Remember that it is not a soul skill, it is simply the characteristics of the martial soul. The first soul skill, Wang Xiang Zinshan, can restore all soul power in an instant, with unlimited range and unlimited times. The second soul skill, the soul-bound curse, can increase the soul master's own level. This soul skill has a certain limit, and this limit is not the limit of my soul skill, but the limit of the soul master itself. Because the soul master has not obtained in the case of the soul ring, there is a limit to the soul power that can be raised, so my soul binding spell can only increase the soul power level to the upper limit of the current level. There is no restriction. It can be said that during the battle, I can raise the soul power of 6 of you at the same time. Fei can raise it to level, and the rest can raise it to level. The third soul skill, this soul skill is very special, I call it incarnation. When it is used, it can help you create a clone, which is equivalent to a clone of your own martial soul level soul skills, and you can fight together. Of course, there is no limit to the clone. This incarnation soul skill can help you consume the other party's soul power and control type soul skills first, and of course it can also fight with you. However, all of this comes down to the amount of my own soul power. If the soul power is sufficient, I can use it without any restrictions. If the soul power is not sufficient, there will be some unpredictable restrictions, that is, after use as a result of. After hearing Lanshan's introduction, Fei and the others all opened their mouths wide open. They couldn't believe that there is such a powerful martial spirit in this world, and what kind of soul skills are these? It is completely equivalent to the invincible form, right? Guagua looked at the surprised look of the group of children, smashed his mouth, and said secretly, of course, this is just a simple branch to sister life. This is powerful, and these soul skills seem to be auxiliary, but if they are transferred to the enemy, they are simply killing skills. This is the group destroying type of soul skills. A martial spirit transformed from a branch is enough to make all the martial spirits in this world dim. I really can't believe what kind of power the real tree of life possesses. Compared to this, the real power that destroys the crown has been imprisoned, and the remaining power is actually less than 1 part in a billion. It's really a pity. I don't know if I can see the complete body. End of this chapter. Chapter 185, Miracles and Soul Skills. Can this still be called a soul skill? Why not call it a miracle? In my impression, even the soul skills bestowed by a particularly advanced soul beast may not be as powerful as the 3 soul skills of 7th sister, right? Let alone a team. Well, even if it is just assisting one person, it is enough to defeat the other party. After Hulina opened her mouth for a long time, she uttered such a compliment. She originally felt that her martial spirit possessed the characteristics of evolution, which was enough to shock others to the extreme, and it was still a powerful existence to a certain extent, but in front of her eyes, compared with Yi Lanshan, it was completely bleak type. The soul ability that can copy the main body. I dare not imagine what kind of impact such an existence will have if it is fully used in team battles. If there are 7 of us, it will become 14 people, even if 7th sister is an auxiliary soul. If the division does not want to fight, then there are still 12 people. This is completely double crushing in terms of quality and quantity. Ji-Fei also felt a little burst after hearing this. This soul skill, this martial soul, this support. It turns out that you are so powerful, Lanshan. Yi Lanshan stared at Ji-Fei. What else do you think? Ji-Fei shook his head and said hastily, before I thought you were powerful enough relying on those soul skills, but I never thought that the combination of your 3 soul skills could reach such a level. Powerful, powerful, really so amazing. It's okay, my martial spirit is quite special. Yi Lanshan suddenly felt that what she said was too detailed and surprised them all. This kind of soul ability is really her own weakest ability, and it is also a special auxiliary soul ability, but if the method of use is changed, it can also become a powerful counter-attack soul ability. Ahem. Cough. Well, don't be too surprised to be amazed. This is all basic for sister life. If this is the case, is there such a big hope for defeating the water and fire crab? Quack looked at Ji-Fei and the others who were eager to try, wishing that the water and fire crabs would be completely knocked to the ground now, and he also sighed. That's not bad. I thought you guys would be somewhat timid after learning about such a powerful soul beast, but now it seems that my worry is just my own wishful thinking. Although I said you are impossible, but in fact, I still want you to complete it. Ji-Fei joked abruptly. No, it should be said that your stomach wants us to pass. Ha ha ha. That's right, I think it's the same. After all, the food made by the 6th brother is really delicious. Even Mr. Gu would really like to try it. Guagua quickly covered up. How is this possible? None of you are in good shape. Well, next, I can get a rough idea of your respective soul powers. They have almost recovered, so let's fight. Come and fight the 6,000-year-old water and fire crab. That's right. Let's fight. We can definitely win the final victory. No matter what kind of difficulties and obstacles, it is impossible to stop us from winning the final victory. Ziyu stretched out a hand first, then Yan, then Hulina, then Huorao. After that was Zhu Jiangxing, then Ji-Fei, and the one on top was Yi Lanshan. Putting their hands together, they all glanced at each other, and then shouted excitedly, come on. Quack, please release that water and fire crab. We must let that crab see what is called teamwork combat power. Absolute offense and defense are also unfeasible here, and must be deflated. Then I'll wait and see. Quack suddenly jumped up, and the moment it jumped, a large cloud of azure blue mist-like existence surged around it in an instant. The azure blue mist gradually drifted towards Ji-Fei and the others. Ji-Fei and the others suddenly felt a very special soul power being continuously released. Chill, hot. The 2 diametrically opposite soul powers seemed to collide fiercely in an instant. And the center of the collision is in that group of azure blue mist. This feeling is so wonderful. It's the first time in the Lost Grand Canyon that I was touched by the cold and the scorching heat. It's really special. Ji-Fei stared at the cloud of azure blue mist. He didn't want to let go of every detail. Maybe in the next moment, that cloud of mist would change again. The speed of the mist drifting is also very fast. In the blink of an eye, he floated to the edge of the 3rd trial road, which happened to be 2 edges from where Ji-Fei and the others were standing at the moment. The azure blue mist slowly fell from the sky. At the same time, a vaguely huge figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes in an instant. This is a crab. No, it was no longer a normal type of crab, but a truly terrifying giant crab. Fei was sure that he had never seen such a huge crab before. That huge figure seemed to cover all of Fei's line of sight, and the pupils condensed into one point simply couldn't fit such a big soul beast. Its pliers are very strange. One side is bright red, but there are blue lines around the red pliers, and the other side is dark blue pliers, which also has bright red lines, and the two complement each other. The body shape of the whole day is at least 7 or 8 meters. If the pliers are lifted up, it will be higher. Although it is tall, most of the elevation comes from its feet. There is no part of the body that is not covered by a hard shell. His body seemed to have a metallic luster under the blue mist. Those eyes, which are the size of sesame seeds, really cannot be seen or found unless one looks carefully. Fei's complexion suddenly darkened, which was different from what he had expected before. The eyes of this fire and water crab are so small. However, one thing that is still expected is that the eyes of this water and fire crab are indeed the most vulnerable point in the whole body, and perhaps they have not yet fully evolved. Crack, click, click. After fully manifesting from the azure blue mist, the water and fire crab waved its big pincers, making a threatening posture again and again, and its tiny eyes fell on Fei and the others in an instant, but it hasn't acted yet. I don't know if it is waiting for orders, or observing where the weaknesses of Fei and the others will be, and what method will they use to fight and attack me. How can we completely defeat these little human dolls at the fastest speed? This is also a question worth pondering. It is also a question that often needs to be considered as a soul beast. End of this chapter. Chapter 186 Miracles and Soul Skills. Could this be called a crab? How can you tell that it's a crab except for the two strange pincers? This body shape, this breath, this kind of feeling. Every place reveals the feeling of clicking. Clicking. What is the feeling of clicking? It just cracked the soul master with its pincers. Fei didn't pay much attention to the ridicule of Ziyu and the others. He just watched the water and fire crab, trying hard to find where the water and fire crab's eyes, which were the size of sesame seeds, were, and what kind of attack to use when he could convenient and effective. It's very difficult, but it's not completely impossible, but it can only rely on outsmart. The water and fire crab was still looking at Fei and the others, as if it would never make a move, unless Fei and the others made the first move. It had to wait for Fei and the others to make the first move, and then it would find more flaws. Sixth brother, shall we still act according to the original plan? Does this water and fire crab look a bit foul? And it's not what we expected. No problem, even if it's not what we expected, but we only have this one method that works. Get ready, I'll control it now, and I'll be there once after my nightmare fog is released. Control it and restrain it, and then the two of you, the elder brother and the second brother, rushed into it first. Jiangxing opened a distance to keep up. Huorao circled around and attacked to prevent the water and fire crab from escaping. And the third sister and I came as dual controllers to subdue this water and fire crab. Lanshan helps brother Ziyu and the others to improve their soul power and create clones at the same time. It used to be that 4 people really couldn't beat this fire and water crab, but it's different now. With the weak incarnation soul ability, you can fight 1 out of 8, and if there is any danger, you must let the clone resist and protect it. Your own safety is the most important thing. Remember, we are a team. The division of labor is clear. Sixth brother, have you thought about it a long time ago? You actually thought so carefully. I just thought that, as long as we rushed in and smashed the eyes of the water and fire crab, and then injected the venom, we would be able to complete the victory. But I didn't expect that the water and fire crab, the eyes are so small, and the whole body is protected by a hard shell. Fei shook his head, and at the same time, pointed to the surrounding area of the water and fire crab. It's not perfect yet. I'm still going to dig a very wide deep pit in that area. Sometimes, artificial restrictions are necessary. It is simpler, rougher and more effective than soul skill control. Several people who had already taken action turned around and stared at Fei in astonishment. The water and fire crab can only walk sideways, and the speed is extremely fast. We just need to make good use of the terrain, even if we can't completely restrict it. But it is definitely troublesome to move, and in my nightmare injecting the soul skill big lie will cause dizziness and a blow to the opponent's mental power. Then it will lose its direction even more, and then fall into continuous control. It is definitely a good opportunity for you. Remember, the more intelligent a soul beast is, the less crazy it will be when it encounters difficulties. Instead, it will stop and calmly analyze the current situation. This is a good use point. It thinks about it. I attack us. Several people stared at Fei in surprise. Isn't this too perverted? Have you even thought about the retreat of the water and fire crab? Isn't this the winning trick? I couldn't believe how Fei was able to reach such a level of thinking in his head during this period of time. Okay, with Sixth Brother's winning technique, why don't we worry about winning? It's just water and fire crabs. Let's see how we can make it what a dinner should be. Ziyu shouted loudly, with an eager look on her face, wishing she could rush to the water and fire crab in the next moment, draw out her moonblade martial soul in an instant, and slash with a pair of double knives. Life is endless. Everything is endless. The second soul skill, the soul binding curse. With one wave of Yi Lanshan's hand, the messy leaves instantly fell into the eyes of others. The tiny leaves in Yi Lanshan's palm gradually solidified, and the light green soul ring shining on her body was even more dazzling. The leaves fell, as if they had their own wisdom, and fell directly on Fei and the others. In an instant, the dense green bloomed directly on Fei and the others like a force that had been accumulated for a long time. Fei only felt that his soul power was rising steadily. The original soul power of level 34 sprinted to level in an instant. The 40th level soul power seems to have endless magical power. Fei believes that, even if he uses any kind of power to control soul skills, he can perfectly control the water and fire crab. But with the most perfect control plan, Fei won't have any drags. It doesn't stop there. Apart from the special changes that happened to Fei, there were others. The moonblade knife held tightly in Ziyu's hand is even more gorgeous, and even without the blessing of soul skills, it is enough to make people feel the coercion from the moonblade. Is this the power of the soul beam spell? Can this be called an auxiliary soul skill? It's a miracle. My current soul power has actually reached level. I've also reached level. Me too. But I feel that I may not be able to control such a terrifying power well, but I will work hard to fully adapt to this power in a while. It's better for Fei to have a few. Because of his own speciality, Fei doesn't feel a little uncomfortable because of the sudden addition of such a force in his body. Ziyu, Yan, and Hulina, the three of them are also similar. Because of the blessing of the evil god Spring, their respective ability to withstand the soul power has also been forcibly increased, and undead Douluo has been asking them to meditate for a while, and meditation is not for them to make a breakthrough, but to find a means of suppression. As for why they want to suppress their own soul power level so frantically, Fei and the others are also very clear. Among the team, only Zhu Jiangxing and Huo Rao couldn't withstand such a crazy increase in soul power, and it was even said that this was a lot of pressure on themselves. Do you want me to weaken the blessing of soul power? Level is still too much for the two of you. Yi Lanshan's complexion was as usual, which made Fei very relieved. After all, such a blessing would be absolutely impossible without consuming his own soul power. If Yi Lanshan had any abnormalities, Fei would let her go without hesitation. She stopped the soul skill blessing. End of this chapter. Chapter 187 Miracles and Soul Skills. No. Both Zhu Jiangxing and Huo Rao directly rejected Yi Lanshan's suggestion at the same time. It is true that we are not used to such an increase in soul power, but it is just that we are not used to it. It's not that we can't bear it. It's okay to adapt, and we can't implicate you because of the two of us. As long as it is our strength they have all been promoted to level. Even if they are water and fire crabs, we don't need to be afraid of anything. This is indeed Zhu Jiangxing's sincere words. They have also been baptized by the evil god Spring. Although their soul power has been improved, there is still a gap between them and others. So, the two of them don't want to be treated as a burden by others. Huo Rao is fine. Such a full amount of soul power may not be a burden to her, and it is even a good thing. If this is the case, she doesn't have to save so much on the wedding to fight. One's own soul skills can inject the maximum soul power, to attack water and fire crabs, and there is no need to worry about the consumption of soul power, because there is still a big gap between level and level, including the amount of soul power stored. If you really can't bear it, you must let Lanshan touch the blessing. Don't let yourself get hurt. Remember, even if we lose, we must protect ourselves and protect the rest of the team. Ji-Fei opened his mouth, and Izanami's martial soul bloomed instantly. The mimetic Izanami possessed Ji-Fei's body, and Ji-Fei's whole body underwent extraordinary changes. The lavender long hair continued to extend, and the whole body began to grow, and within the blink of an eye, it almost reached 1.8 meters 9, and Ji-Fei's original appearance was gradually replaced by a layer of blurred mist. There are no facial features, nor any expressions. Because Izanami can imitate the facial features of any person, and can also imitate any expression that can be expressed. This is the first time Ji-Fei has used Izanami's spirit to fully possess her body. Although he didn't show his 5 sense organs, what Ji-Fei felt was extraordinarily clear, and he could even clearly perceive their movements along with the spirit power around him. The 3 soul rings behind him were shining with little halos. The dazzling purple soul ring was somewhat different from the ordinary Millennium soul ring, but as for what was the difference, I really couldn't tell, at least if you didn't look carefully. It is absolutely invisible. What a nice view. It's over. The 6th brother has become a woman. Where did you turn into a woman? You see that the 6th brother doesn't even have any facial features on his face. How did he become a woman? But this figure is indeed a bit imaginative. Ziyu nodded, staring at the tall Ji-Fei, and began to comment. She couldn't help but feel that what she commented was really too reasonable. Ji-Fei turned around. His expressionless face gave people a sense of horror. The abrupt mist slowly turned, and at the same time he uttered a relatively low voice. I'm the complete body of Izanami's martial soul. Possession form, but I haven't turned on Izanami's truly terrifying simulation. If I turn it on, you can see the person you like the most. How about it? Would you like to satisfy your curiosity? Yeah. This power is great. I can actually see the person I like the most in my heart. It's amazing. It's really amazing. Hey, don't you really take water and fire crabs seriously? Or do you really think this is a joke? Guagua, who was floating above the sky, couldn't help laughing when he saw that Ji-Fei and his party seemed to be starting to play around again. Ji-Fei raised his head to look at Guagua and said helplessly, okay, let's talk about this later. Let's deal with this water and fire crab quickly. Clenching his fists tightly, Ji-Fei felt the full soul power all over his body and couldn't help but think that he could almost switch martial souls to fight in a coherent manner. In this way, he would let them all see what is called an absolute soul master in a short while. Lanshan, are you ready for the incarnation soul skill? Ji-Fei looked at Yi Lanshan. Yi Lanshan nodded at the same time and replied, ready. Okay, then, let's begin. Incarnation. The moment Yi Lanshan uttered these 2 words, the ground began to shake slightly, and the strong breath of life around her began to intensify. The others thought it was the water and fire crab that rushed over, but when they looked at the water and fire crab, they only found that the water and fire crab was still standing there motionless, simply looking at Ji-Fei and the others. I don't know what to think about. In an instant, boom, boom, boom. A series of subtle explosions sounded, and suddenly not so solid figures appeared on the ground. Every illusory figure's size, appearance, behavior, demeanor, spirit, and spirit ring were all similar to those of other people, exactly the same. For example, standing next to Ji-Fei is an illusory shadow equal to his height. The shape of this shadow is not the complete form of Izanami's martial soul possession, but simply standing like that, with other people. Standing phantom shadows are completely different. The phantom human figure standing next to the others has automatically released its martial soul, and it is constantly solidifying. Its body is constantly being enriched by the light green soul power gushing out from the ground, and its final form is to grow up with other people. They are exactly the same. Even the soul rings are the same. They all exude the pressure of soul power. No. Yi Lanshan's voice rang in Ji-Fei's mind. Sure enough, your martial spirit is a bit peculiar. Even my incarnation spirit ability cannot be imitated. There is no other way but to take it back. Ah. Why is that? Could it be that the re-engraved martial soul can't be imitated? Looking at his avatar that was gradually disappearing beside him, Ji-Fei felt somewhat regretful. He could feel that the Ji-Fei in this incarnation also possessed a soul power of level. This kind of real power, it can be replicated even under pressure. It can only be said that Yi Lanshan's incarnation soul ability is really too powerful. But one's own martial soul cannot be copied, so in this case, it is completely in existence with no soul power and no soul skills. In this case, there would be no fighting power. After all, simply releasing the coercion of soul power might not have any effect on soul beasts like water and fire crabs. The reason for the specialness of the martial soul is that, although my incarnation soul skill can simulate all forms, some special things cannot be simulated, such as very special martial souls and artifacts. Your chaotic martial soul is also a very special existence, so it is said that even those re-engraved martial souls cannot be simulated. Yi Lanshan explained very clearly. Ji-Fei was also a little helpless. The original plan seemed to have to be changed slightly. But it's okay. What are you afraid of with a spirit power of level? End of this chapter. Chapter 188 Stalemate. Huh. 6th brother, why don't you have an avatar? And 7th sister, wouldn't it be better if you had an avatar? While everyone else was wondering and observing the strangeness of her avatar, Hulina looked at Ji-Fei and Yi Lanshan, who didn't have avatars around them, so she asked suspiciously. Yi Lanshan glanced at Ji-Fei and then replied, "Oh, that's right. Incarnations will fail to a certain extent. As you can see, 3rd sister, our 2 avatars failed. That's right. It's really a pity. Of the 7 of us, you 2 are the strongest, but it doesn't matter. Our own strength is already very strong. After receiving the blessing of your soul binding curse, with the incarnation, even against this water and fire crab, you will definitely not lose." The incarnate Ziyu and the others looked exactly the same as them, and they had automatically activated all their martial souls. If Yi Lanshan's incarnation soul skill has to be limited, it needs to possess the soul power of the opponent. As long as you have the soul power of the opponent, you can create an incarnation, and this incarnation is just like what you see. It is drilled out of the ground, or to another extent, it grows out of the ground. This is a body created by Yi Lanshan with her own soul power plus the special source of life on the earth, and the soul power obtained from other people is equivalent to injecting charm into this invisible body, that is, the martial soul and the soul ring. This doesn't seem to be a restriction, it's just a process of using soul skills, and Yi Lanshan completes this process very quickly. It can be completed in the blink of an eye. This is Yi Lanshan's special power. This avatar seems to have even copied my ability to copy soul skills. It's really too real. If this avatar also has expressions, wouldn't it be exactly the same as us? Ziyu carefully looked at his incarnation standing with him, and what he paid most attention to was the martial soul of this incarnation. It is also the same moon blade, but the width of the 2 moon blades held by this incarnation seems to be much wider than his moon blade. While other places are almost exactly the same point, the whole body is a conspicuous blood red, with a slight metallic luster. Yi Lanshan looked at the others, and said at the same time, "This incarnation is fighting with your soul power as the soul of the body, and they don't have any consciousness, and they won't feel any tiredness, and pain too. You can't feel it, and even if the avatar dies or gets hurt, you can't feel it, and I won't suffer any backlash, so let's fight to the fullest." It's amazing. It's really amazing. 7th sister, what is the duration of this soul skill incarnation? Yan was very excited. It turned out that he could release a flame attack from above by himself, but the range was certainly not as good as Ji-Fei's nightmare range, but it was different now. Having such an incarnation meant nothing to him. It can double the range of the 2nd soul skill lord's wings. In this case, how could he be afraid that the water and fire crab could not be dealt with within the attack range? Yi Lanshan seemed to be thinking, but in fact Ji-Fei knew it. She was definitely thinking about how to answer so as not to arouse the exclamation and shock of others. If she continued to waste time here, Quack would probably go crazy. Lost. My incarnation soul skill is timed according to my own soul power. Judging from my current soul power level, it's not a problem at all to last more than 10 minutes. More than 10 minutes. The others were completely shocked. They originally thought that such perverted soul skills would only last for a few minutes at most, and the duration would become shorter and shorter as the battle consumed. But Yi Lanshan's answer completely shocked them. Isn't 10 minutes enough? In fact, 10 minutes is also possible, but I need to reduce the level attached to you. Otherwise my own soul power seems to be not enough. Hulina just smiled awkwardly. Enough? Why not enough? 10 minutes is enough. Click. Click. Suddenly, there were bursts of noisy noises, which were the sound of water and fire crabs waving their huge pincers. At the same time, Fei and the others focused their attention on the water and fire crab. The water and fire crab seemed to be getting impatient with waiting, but it still didn't move. It seemed to want Fei and the others to make a quick move by waving its big pincers. What's the point of always talking there, anyway? It would lose off. And in the eyes of the water and fire crab, it seems that the other party has used some kind of soul skill to increase the momentum of the whole group, and their number has also changed from 7 people just now to 12 people, and the 5 extra people are still there. They looked exactly the same as those around them. It seems to be a very strange soul skill. But in the thinking of the water and fire crab, it is indeed too incompetent to deal with such a little doll. But there is no way. The terrifying monster oppresses it to come here to fight these 7 children. As long as if you can win, you can leave here safely. Besides, as a 6,000-year level soul beast, it is very easy to fight 7 or 12 dolls, as long as the opponent stops standing there and discussing countermeasures and quickly completes the battle. Isn't it alright? Oh, we seem to be in a bit of a hurry for dinner, so let's give it a massage first, so that it can enjoy the last beautiful moment of the soul beast. As he said that, the first and second soul rings on Fei's body lit up together with Izanami's spirit possessed, along with Fei's lavender long hair gradually floating up. A cloud of black mist scattered towards the surroundings in an instant. Izanami's second soul skill Nightmare is activated. The first soul skill, Soul Eater, was activated at the same time. This was Fei's first control, and when no one else noticed, a dark purple blue silver grass from the dinner party spread out from Fei's palm. With a strong coercion, it floated down from Fei's palm, and then pressed against the ground, and rushed towards the place where the water and fire crab was. This is only the first step that Fei thought about, and at the same time, there is another thing that Fei mentioned before, that is, to dig out many very wide and coherent tunnels in the flat terrain in front of him. With such a terrain, it is the most perfect restriction for a soul beast like the water and fire crab that can only walk sideways and has absolute offense and defense. End of this chapter. Chapter 189 Stalemate. Nightmare soul skills are very special, especially the enhanced nightmare soul skills are even more terrifying. First of all, its attribute is too strong. It can continue to control, and at the same time, it can weaken various attributes of the enemies in the black mist, including soul power and soul skills, mental tampering with memories that originally belonged to them. It can be said that Izanami's martial soul provided Fei with a very good combination of soul skills. If a combination of soul skills is released, even if it is a water and fire crab, it may be uncomfortable. The 3 soul rings floating on Fei's body all lit up in an instant. The few people who were ready to go were stunned when they saw this scene. They didn't expect Fei to directly release 3 soul skills to control the water and fire crabs. How much confidence is needed to release the soul skills like this? Not to mention whether it will be out of control by the water and fire crabs. Just taking out the consumption of soul power is too much for ordinary people to bear. After all, releasing 3 soul skills at the same time is completely different from releasing soul skills one by one. But Fei has such power. Yi Lanshan's soulbound curse raised Fei's soul power to level. The gap between level and level was huge. Fei's strength instantly increased by several levels. The same is true for the storage of soul power. The control is complete. Hurry up. In my nightmare, you can have a line of sight, but you still have to remember that I opened many potholes across the ground. Don't be too aggressive and let yourself sink in. Understand? Don't worry, watch me break the so-called absolute attack and defense of this water and fire crab with my flaming fist. My sword is powerful enough to break through everything. Even the so-called absolute attack and defense can't stop me. Moment. Ziyu and Yan together with their avatars, rushed directly into Jifen's nightmare soul ability as pioneers. And Zhu Jiangxing was already ready to go. After waiting for a while, he was the Xingyu sword martial soul on his head. The first soul ring on his body shone brightly. The original Xingyu sword instantly turned into 3 handles, and the same is true for his incarnation, with a total of 6 Xingyu swords, which can explode with absolutely powerful power and soul skills. Huora walked around to the back. For her, the main thing is to give the water and fire crab the most fatal blow. Of course, this fatal blow must be taken by surprise. Similarly, she also needs to pay attention to the water and fire crab's counterattack before it dies off. The counterattack of the soul beast before it died was terrifying, but it was also very powerful. She had to pay attention, and at the same time, she had to complete the task Jifei gave her. Langshan, you are standing right behind me. You are the real core of our team. Without the blessing of your auxiliary soul skills, we may really be unable to deal with this water and fire crab with our current means, so we must be careful of water and fire. Crab, always be prepared to control the water and fire crabs with my soul, control skills and natural control pits. Yi Lanshan nodded, and automatically walked behind Jifei. Indeed, she is now an auxiliary system soul master, so she has to show the appearance that an auxiliary system soul master should have, that is, she cannot show too high combat power. Third sister, your role is equally important. Your soul skills can also cause a mental impact. This is not the most important thing. Please protect Lanshan. If the water and fire crab really sprints over, third sister will release it. The second soul skill eliminates the attack and protects Lanshan. If Lanshan is injured, the blessing of our incarnation soul power will disappear. If necessary, I can also become a battle soul master. Hulina nodded, and at the same time, glanced at her avatar. That avatar was standing in place, also in a state of martial soul possession like her, and the two tails swaying slowly behind her were the best proof that her martial soul had evolved, which is also a proof that she has become stronger. No matter what, I will protect 7th sister. You can rest assured, 6th brother, but how can you fight if you only control your soul skills? It doesn't matter. At worst, I will protect you too. Jifei smiled slightly, but did not answer. At the same time, Jifei was still paying attention to the movement in the black mist of nightmare. Jifei made several plans. Witheredwood to Vine martial soul and blue silver grass martial soul are both bound type martial souls. Jifei has already controlled the two and bound them towards the water and fire crabs. After the blessing of 3 special soul rings, plus the special enhancement of the chaos villain, the hardness and toughness of the blue silver grass and the deadwood vine have reached a terrifying level, and Jifei notes that his blue silver grass after Wuhan grass was transformed by the villain of chaos. The dark purple blue silver grass all over his body would not be able to be destroyed, even if you set it on fire, unless he shredded it with truly powerful force. The deadwood group vine also has such wonderful characteristics. This gave Jifei enough means to restrain the water and fire crabs. How many segments of control is this? Nightmare, Big Lie, Soul Eater, Blue Silver Grass, Deadwood Vine, Potholes. Jifei controlled so many soul skills and martial souls by himself, and his mind was more or less exhausted, but fortunately, his soul power was full. Otherwise, he really didn't know what kind of scene it would cause. The soul ability of the blue silver grass is also very special. I have the poisonous blue silver grass. Is it the reason for the Sahua centipede? The Sahua centipede gave me the special nightmare soul ability of Izanami's martial soul, and gave the blue silver grass similar to the power of poison. The power endowed with the deadwood vine seems to be of the poison type. The hyena spirit has not been used yet, and I have not figured out the rest of the spirit for the time being. Hey, it seems that it is not good to have too many spirits. If you understand it, it seems to be in inexplicable trouble. Jifei's current blue silver grass martial soul and Edward Tuan Teng martial soul have become very special. Both the blue silver grass Wuhan and the deadwood Tuan Bean Wuhan have barb-like things growing on the original round leaves and branches, densely growing on the leaves and branches. If you look at it casually, it really looks like a Sahua centipede. The dense long legs are the same. Similarly, this is also the subtle change given to the re-engraved martial soul, but it doesn't seem to have this effect for other spirits. Fei couldn't help thinking of a little knowledge about Wuhan. Martial souls don't seem to be as simple as I imagined, especially when absorbing soul rings. Each martial soul possesses different powers and attributes. Wuhan's own abilities and attributes. Undead Douluo once mentioned this to them, and told them personally, that the relationship between the spirit ring and the spirit ring can be distant or close, but if this is the case, the power of the two will also reflect different situations. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190 Stalemate. Fei knew that, if his avatar asked some questions now, it might turn the tide of the battle in an instant, but if he didn't ask such a question, he would feel particularly awkward in his heart. This feeling is very exciting, uncomfortable. Depression. Okay. Fortunately, even during the battle, it is possible to communicate with Yi Lanshan at the most energy consuming time. This is very convenient. Yes, it is definitely much more convenient than talking face to face. I have a question. Speaking of which, the battle situation is still stable. The water and fire crab seem to be a little at a loss, and you don't have to keep an eye on the battle situation all the time. Although Yi Lanshan said so, Fei couldn't do it. Every detail in the battle will determine the final success or failure. My re-engraved martial soul uses the soul ring of the master martial soul of the chaotic martial soul, so the soul rings of different attributes are applied to various martial souls. Will it cause some martial souls to have no possibility of obtaining soul skills? What about it? It's like what I feel now. It seems that I can't feel the soul skills of the re-engraved martial soul. What's the matter? Can't you feel the soul skills of the re-engraved martial soul? That's right. If you take the two spirits of blue silvergrass and deadwood to Unveen for example, they seem to have only changed their form, and their spirit abilities still seem to stay at the first spirit ability, while the second spirit ability of my chaos spirit, neither the spirit ring nor the third spirit ring is attached to them, except for the shape change. Fei is very concerned about this point. After all, usually after he obtains the soul ring, he can know the function and effect of the soul skill almost instantly, but now it is completely different. This led to an embarrassing situation. Maybe it's because of the problem with the soul ring. Your chaotic martial soul doesn't seem to need a specific soul ring to upgrade. As long as a soul ring is swallowed, it can be transformed into a soul ring. Then some of the re-engraved martial souls may just match the soul ring. Compatible, but not partly. This should be the most reasonable explanation. Is that so? Fei was a little surprised. Wouldn't it mean that a large number of re-engraved martial souls of his would be restricted in the future? In this case, the ability to reproduce the martial soul seems to have been weakened, or it means that he has not discovered the mystery of his chaotic martial soul. Huh? What's going on? The water and fire crab seems to have the power to fight back. Fei inadvertently noticed the water and fire crab in the black mist. It raised its big pincers to disperse the three attacking Zu. Bright, lit all around. Now is not the time to think about this. The first thing is to win, kill this water and fire crab, and then ask Undying Douluo about the rest. Immortal Douluo may give a more complete answer, and croaking should be fine too. But Fei himself probably knew that the speculation given by Yi Lanshan was roughly the most perfect explanation. After all, some soul rings may not be suitable for all martial souls, which may lead to some reenacted martial souls that cannot use soul skills. In the fog of nightmare, Zu tightly held two moonblade martial spirits in his hands, and the two spirit rings floating on his body burst into shining light one after another. Sprinted over. The water and fire crab move strangely. At this moment, its body is entangled with many strange shaped blue silver grass and deadwood vines. The barbs on the blue silver grass and deadwood vines are tightly attached to its hard body, the shell, but it can't penetrate, which is very troublesome. But I have to say, under the control of these two layers, it is very troublesome even for water and fire crabs to break free. Boom. Boom. It seems that Zu and Yan are always attacking from different directions, which makes it difficult for the water and fire crab to fight back at all. But just now, it caught the floor of Zu falling from the sky. That is, this subtle flaw is enough to make the water and fire crab start to fight back. The bright red pincers raised by the water and fire crab aimed at the evil moon in an instant and released a huge flame. The fierce flame released a scorching breath. But the water and fire crab felt something was wrong. The fireball he usually released seemed to be much stronger than this, right? Moreover, the sight lines around here are really too low. If he is not a soul beast, it would be extremely troublesome to face such a line of sight blockade, but because it has a very keen sense of smell and precise judgment, it is said that you can also find the other party's whereabouts in front of you. Of course, this is also the pride one should have as a 6,000-year soul beast. But the opponent's actions are really flexible. But this is alright. The volleying man has completely fallen within his attacking range, and his flame ball is a ranged attack. Since you rushed up like this, no one can save you. Not good. Ziyu runs away. It turned out that Yan was flying in the sky, and after he used his second soul skill, fiery red wings grew from his back. At the same time, the traces of flames visible on the ground were not the attacks of water and fire crabs, but Yan's attacks, which belonged to Yan's second soul technology. He named it Lord's Wings. He could see quite clearly from the sight above that the claw raised by the water and fire crab originally he thought it was just to resist Ziyu's moonblade attack, but he never expected that the water and fire crab directly gathered a huge fireball attack. Yan could clearly feel the powerful power of the fireball. If he met it head on, he would probably perish in an instant, right? After all, they are only great soul masters in the 20s, and they have no chance of winning against such a 6,000-year-old soul beast, let alone the water and fire crabs that are known as absolute offensive and defensive. Only then did Ziyu discover that there seemed to be a line of fire continuously condensing in the center of the large pincers of the water and fire crab. He didn't feel it just now, but now he gradually felt the scorching flames gathering, but his figure had already fallen. When you get down, you can't fly, so you can't control such a huge inertial force. It's over. This was Ziyu's last thought. He should never underestimate the IQ of this water and fire crab. After enduring so many attacks, it attacked when it was in the air. However, there is no rule that Soul Masters battles are turn-based, and they are facing Soul Beasts, and there will be no means to win. As long as they can win, everything is worth it, no matter what the means are, and they are still Soul Beasts. Suddenly, just as Ziyu closed her eyes, and was about to wait for the fireball to hit her, and feel death coming, a phantom rushed up and blocked him. End of this chapter. Chapter 191. Yan's martial soul possession state is very strange, especially after using the second soul skill Lord's Wings. His whole body seems to be wrapped in a layer of delicate and gorgeous flames, accompanied by bursts of faint waves in the sky. With the wind blowing, the flames are faintly hazy, which is really beautiful. But the state of Ziyu corresponding to it at this time is not so optimistic. Suddenly rushed to Ziyu's body and took a closer look. It turned out to be that incarnation, Ziyu's incarnation. The huge flame ball swallowed Ziyu's incarnation in an instant, and the heat wave that spread pushed the falling Ziyu far away in an instant. The avatar has a certain degree of self-awareness, so let the avatar resist all this when encountering a certain death situation. Ziyu's face was still in shock. Even in the fog of nightmare, he could still see clearly. He just saw with his own eyes that an avatar with level, soul power equivalent to his own, and an avatar that was still using a martial spirit, was instantly crushed by the huge fireball released by the water and fire crab, and a yellow leaf was submerged in the sky in an instant into the sea of fire. This is really terrible. Fei was also shocked when he saw this scene just now. He couldn't help clenching his fists tightly. He could clearly feel the power of the blow just now. Even though it was separated by such a long distance, the huge fireball gave the human feeling is that everything can be burned. Fortunately, there is an incarnation. Otherwise Brother Ziyu wonders if it will be the same as the incarnation. Yi Lanshan answered Fei's doubt slightly. Her expression did not change at all. Yes, the incarnation is equal to your own power, and this incarnation also has the blessing of the soul binding curse, and the soul power is also at level. Since the incarnation can, if it disappears, the main body will also disappear. Fei felt a little strange when he heard Yi Lanshan say these two words, and it seemed that he still had a bad premonition. Yi Lanshan's usual speech is also very elliptical. When there is almost nothing to do, she will keep silent like Ji-Fei, and she rarely has such an uncertain tone when she speaks. What is the meaning of the trial? Yi Lanshan asked Ji-Fei back. Her originally indifferent expression changed slightly. The coordination of the team, fighting each other, and resolving the immediate suffering, including deepening the role of each individual in the team. That's all the answers Ji-Fei could think of, but he felt that he had already summed it up completely, at least from his own perspective. Yes, the front is very important, and the back is more important. Guagua is watching, and Teacher Undead is also watching. Ziyu has done very badly, arrogant, aggressive, and reckless. Obviously the original plan was Yan Yan come to attack first, and Ziyu will go up later, but he rushed straight up without seeing the slightest hesitation, which is stupid. A plan? Are you saying that because of this, Teacher Undead may punish Ziyu? Indeed, among the originally scheduled guys, Ziyu, Yan, and Zhu Jiangxing entered the nightmare fog, but it was originally planned that Yan would first use the Lord's wings to consume the water and fire crabs before Ziyu could enter. Yan was ready, but Ziyu directly jumped over Yan and attacked the water and fire crab. If it wasn't for the incarnation, he would have died so badly that he couldn't die anymore. Ji-Fei glanced at the croak floating above the sky. It was a frog. It didn't have any expression to express its current mood, but Ji-Fei seemed to be able to feel it. The silence of the croak was an unusual silence. That's different from the playful croaking before. Maybe this is the aura of a 10-year level soul beast, and it's also the posture it should have. The azure halo surrounds Quack. That feeling seems to be only felt when facing the undead Douluo. Even when facing the porcupine Douluo, there is only a slight palpitation. But it doesn't matter anymore, since it has already happened. There is no way to undo it. So let's give Guagua and the undead teacher who watched the battle in secret a perfect battle. Ji-Fei, don't make a move. This one, the battle does not belong to the home field of the two of us, and you must have seen it. Ji-Fei nodded. The 7 of us all play different roles. Even if I can become any soul master with the help of the engraved martial soul, I'm only a control type soul master now, and my accusation is control. Yes, water and fire crabs for maximum control. Lanshan, Teacher Undead is really watching from the dark. No way. Isn't he working regularly? At this moment, he is definitely taking a nap. During this period of life, Ji-Fei knew the undead Douluo's work and rest time very clearly. He was completely the Douluo of the Otaku series. He usually slept mainly, either holding his chin and watching them meditate, or letting them meditate. He cooks something delicious, and then comes back to eat, and watch them meditate. Feel carefully, this space is surrounded by a special force. This is the domain of the undead teacher, the domain of greed. Use your lazy domain to feel it. Field. That's right. I still have the power of the domain that I haven't used. No, the power of the lazy domain is not a control type. If I use it, it will go against the original idea of undead teacher and Quack, but I feel that way. It's a little embarrassing for the two to stand here. After all, they fought so fiercely. In fact, Ji-Fei also wanted to use the re-engraved martial soul to fight this water and fire crab, to change the martial soul, and to try what his peak power was like. At the very beginning, the white tiger I met in the personal trial way was directly tamed by my own aura, and I didn't experience the so-called fun of soul master fighting at all. It's still the same sentence, just do our duty well. After all, this is not a soul master fighting a soul master. If it is a soul master fighting a soul master, let us make a fuss. As long as we can win, Teacher Immortal will not say anything. Even if we make mistakes, according to Undead Teacher's personality, he will definitely protect us. Of course, this is the only thing I think is the cutest about Undead Teacher. PFFT, Lanshan, you still use the word cute. As soon as Ji-Fei talked with Yi Lanshan, he seemed to have forgotten everything. Even if he was in a dangerous situation, he didn't seem to be afraid of anything. He obviously only talked a few words, but his heart would become very quiet, and he would gradually calm down and think. 6th brother, 7th sister, you two are always eyeing each other. Did I disturb you? Do you want me to help my brother and the others? But thank you, 7th sister, I can see that. If I didn't have an incarnation just now. End of this chapter. Chapter 192. It doesn't matter. The role of the avatar is to protect one's own life at the most critical time, even for other people. Yi Lanshan replied, while watching the battle situation. Fighting soul beasts is no different than fighting soul masters. Even these are two completely different concepts. In the case of a battle soul master, it is the whole team is accelerating, everyone is playing their respective roles, and the battle situation is already very small. Everyone needs to protect themselves first before fighting. Fighting against spirit beasts is different, and the situation of this battle has been greatly expanded. Jifen's nightmare soul ability has a range of at least tens of meters to nearly 100 meters. In such a range, even if the spirit beasts suddenly attack, the spirit masters on standby are enough to dodge or defend. For example, Jifei, Yi Lanshan, and Hulina are now 3 people. However, the most difficult posture is Xiaoyu, and what they hone is the attack sequence and the control of each person's cut-in timing. Jifei can restrain the water and fire crabs and help them create a better output environment. Yi Lanshan can help them improve their soul power levels, obtain an avatar equal to their own strength, and instantly restore their soul power, etc. to assist the blessing of soul skills. The task Jifei gave Hulina was to stand by. If he couldn't restrain the water and fire crab, and the water and fire crab would attack Yi Lanshan, Jifei would stop it, and Hulina was the last hurdle to protect Yi Lanshan. Every one of the 6 people present knew that without the blessing of Yi Lanshan's auxiliary soul skills, they would not be enough to face the water and fire crabs, and even said that they would have lost more than half of them before fighting. Therefore, Yi Lanshan, who is an auxiliary soul master, must be protected. If that time really comes, Jifei won't have anything to hide. More than anyone else, he doesn't want Yi Lanshan to be hurt, even if it's the shock from water and fire crabs. Even if you activate the second martial spirit to destroy everything in front of you. Perhaps the meaning of my second martial soul is to protect the person I want to protect in my heart. Inside the nightmare black mist, Xiu rolled continuously, and the moon blade in her right hand was thrown to the other side, while the moon blade in her left hand was still tightly held in her hand. The water and fire crab seemed to have discovered some clues, and its eyeballs as small as sesame seeds suddenly turned to look at Yan above the sky. Then, he directly raised his blue pincers and aimed them at the sky. The surrounding soul power began to pour into the claws of the water and fire crab crazily. At the same time, a large piece of azure blue ice crystals condensed on the edge of the blue pliers. Unlike blazing flames, azure ice crystals are a sharp sensation. Yan breathed in the scorching air. Although he didn't look that smart, his reaction was still very fast. The flame wings behind him swiped to one side, and he moved to a place far away from the water and fire crab in an instant. Anyway, he dodged the ice crystal lock of the water and fire crab. But the water and fire crab didn't change any action because of Yan's dodge. It was still accumulating power, and the next moment, a sharp icicle about 5 or 6 meters long passed through at high speed towards the place where Yan was originally floating in the air. The surrounding air seemed to be frozen by this huge icicle. What's even more strange is that the icicle exploded instantly when it reached the position where Yan was floating in the air before. The splashed blue mist was very beautiful, and at the same time, some scattered pieces of ice also fell to the ground. Why is that? Jifei soon discovered a clue. Looking at the long lavender hair that was blowing up on his shoulders, he was a little troubled. This Izanami martial spirit is pretty good everywhere, and it is in this fully possessed form. The lavender hair, which is not short, has grown to this point in an instant. This is really too tragic. Moreover, after Jifei absorbed Izanami's martial soul, his whole body became very exquisite, and he felt like a finely carved boy. Why didn't this water and fire crab change its attack position after knowing that Yan dodged? Isn't this a waste of its own soul power? This is very strange. And, is it a fine control of soul power? It caused the icicle to reach a certain point S position? No. It's definitely not right. It's called absolute attack and defense, and the speed is fast. How can it not change the direction of the attack? Then there is only one possibility. Jifei's gaze quickly turned to the battle situation, and this time he looked directly at Zhu Jiangxing through the fog. 3 Xingyu swords were suspended above Zhu Jiangxing's head. At the same time, his avatar was also standing on the ground with him. He was very careful because there were many potholes under his feet, and he did not know when so many weeds and deadwood appeared in strange shapes, and these grasses and deadwood, it seems that there are barbs like sawtooth on the top, which is very dangerous. If you accidentally fall on it, you don't know how many small holes will be opened in the buttocks. Anyway, it must be densely packed. Giant crossing. Use your first soul skill to directly attack this water and fire crab. You don't have to wait for the opportunity. Your avatar will attack separately from you. You have to attack first. Remember, the avatar will change the moment you release your soul skill positional attack. Zhu Jiangxing looked at Ji-Fei with some doubts. The task Ji-Fei gave him before was to attack the head of the water and fire crab with his avatar after Yan and Ziyu had finished a round of attacks. In this case, there may be a chance to achieve a blind cat meets a dead mouse, and there is a high probability that it can injure the eyes of water and fire crabs. But now Ji-Fei suddenly changed his strategy. But Ji-Fei has already said so, and the first soul skill is not very powerful. Maybe it's just a tickle for this water and fire crab. After all, I have been brewing my second soul ability from the very beginning. In Zhu Jiangxing's eyes, if it is my second soul ability, it must be possible. After all, it is a very special existence to have a sword soul skill with the thunder attribute. Just do it. Raising one hand, in an instant, the three Xingyu swords suspended above Zhu Jiangxing's head rose directly to a large height. Following the lighting of the first round of soul rings behind Zhu Jiangxing, the three Xingyu swords went straight through. At the same time, Zhu Jiangxing also controlled his avatar to jump to the side facing away from him at the moment the three-handed Xingyu sword pierced through, and followed Ji-Fei's instructions to release the soul skills of his avatar a little slower. Xingyu sword's first soul skill. It is also a type of soul skill that he often uses. The power can be seen mainly lies in the degree of injection of his own soul power. Ji-Fei's eyes were very sharp, and he even said that he followed the phantom of the Xingyu sword that was pierced at the extreme speed and swiped out together. In an instant, the answer Ji-Fei wanted to prove came to a conclusion. Involuntarily, Ji-Fei had an intriguing smile on the corner of his mouth. I see. End of this chapter. Chapter 193. The three Xingyu swords stabbed towards the head of the water and fire crab at a high speed. It was very sharp and showed its sharpness, not at all like an attack that a soul master with soul power only at the level of a great soul master could launch. At the same time, Zhu Jiangxing controlled the avatar to stay away from him after he released the first soul ability and controlled the timing node Ji-Fei talked about, and the avatar also displayed the first soul ability at the same time. Star rain splashing down. This is Zhu Jiangxing's first soul skill, which divides the Xingyu sword into 3 parts, and at the same time, injects his own powerful soul power to attack. The strength of the attack is also controlled by the degree of Zhu Jiangxing's injection of soul power. But this time he didn't inject too much soul power. The reason is very simple. He had to keep most of the soul power to release his second soul ability. Since he obtained the second soul ability, he has tried his second soul ability several times. He himself also summed up a few characteristics. The attack power is very strong, and the sword soul skill with the thunder attribute is absolutely unrivaled in terms of instantaneous explosive power. The consumption of soul power is very high. Usually when he uses it by himself, he only releases the soul power of his whole body once, and then it is exhausted. The reaction speed of the water and fire crab is very fast, almost to the speed of Zhu Jiangxing's first soul skill Xingyu splashing down. He immediately raised his fiery red pincers, and a ball of flames instantly met the scattered Xingyu splashing. 3 sword glows. Zhu Jiangxing couldn't believe this. He remembered clearly when Ziyu and Yan faced the water and fire crabs. Although the water and fire crab's attack power is very powerful, its reaction speed seems to be half a beat slow. But now this is what it is. This power can hardly believe that it has such a reaction ability. The speed at which my star rain splashed down was very fast, but this fire and water crab actually reacted even faster. But what happened the next moment plunged Zhu Jiangxing into deeper doubts. The star rain released by the incarnation hit the hard shell of the water and fire crab directly and fiercely for a moment, splashing a series of sparks of metal collisions, and the disappearing star rain splash left 3 holes on the water and fire crab shell. A deep white scratch. The water and fire crab let out an angry cry. The cry of the water and fire crab is very strange, not the roar of a soul beast. Instead, the sound of creaking is very sharp and piercing, as if the sound of grinding its own pliers is used as a scream. What's going on here? Zhu Jiangxing was a little surprised. Wasn't his attack cancelled just now? How could such a reaction speed not be able to withstand the attack of the avatar? Could it be that the avatar has a special function, soul skills that can ignore any obstacles? This is definitely impossible. How could it be possible to have such an auxiliary soul ability? It's really like this. Fei stared at the 3 deep scratches on the water and fire crab with a smile on his lips. Attention everyone, this water and fire crab is a soul beast with a single defense type. That is to say, it can only defend against soul skill attacks one by one, and cannot fully defend against soul skill attacks. When the water and fire crab is defending, you attack the water and fire crab from different directions, and use your most powerful attack. Fei's words quickly reached everyone's ears. In an instant, those who didn't know what Fei did were suddenly enlightened. They finally understood why Fei chose such a seemingly useless attack method to attack the water and fire crab. This may be a temptation. It is to test the ability of this water and fire crab. It turns out that the so-called absolute offense and defense also has flaws. Hulina looked at the situation in the black mist and was also a little emotional. There has never been any absolute offense and defense in the world. Only one object drops one object. And we seem to have thought about how to break the defense of the water and fire crab from the very beginning. Or it is time for some cleverness to make the water and fire crab lose the ability to resist. We should believe in ourselves, believe in others, and believe that together we can definitely defeat this crab. Fei turned his head and looked at Yi Lanshan. Lanshan, is my understanding correct? If it is correct, can I also enter the black fog and fight this water and fire crab? Wish to go together. Yi Lanshan smiled brightly and comfortably. Her reaction was far faster than Fei's. When Fei just turned around, the light green soul ring on Yi Lanshan's body had already risen up, accompanied by a strong breath of life. It seemed that the surrounding earth was polished instantly, including the soul of heaven and earth that had consumed more than half of it. Strength is also average. It is good. Chaotic martial soul. Show off. Fei's overall aura has changed again. Before Izanami was possessed by the martial soul, he had a special temperament different from his age. His long flowing lavender hair outlined his all-encompassing face. But the moment the chaos martial soul appeared, Fei's aura suddenly changed into that special feeling of wanting to devour everything around him. Everything around, whether it is a soul power in the air, or the trees around the earth and stones on the ground, and the spirit rings of other people's spirits have a feeling that they are about to be swallowed. The villain of chaos clapped his little hands happily, and then took out a small bone sword from his mouth. Synchronize. A 3-foot long bone sword also appeared in Fei's hand. It was a real long sword similar to a spine. Moreover, this bone sword is not a martial soul, but a real sword. The name of the sword is Kunwu. This is the special ability of the chaotic villain, which is to automatically spit out some strange treasures, but this ability has not been used for a long time, and it is unknown when the chaotic villain will spit out another treasure. In that case, Fei one's own combat power will increase by such a large amount. However, Fei still likes the ability of this chaotic villain. Even though it doesn't have any soul skills to use, it is still quite good as a god level auxiliary martial soul. It was this look of wanting to swallow everything that made Fei somewhat flustered. It's not that the villain of chaos will ruin his stomach, but he just thinks that one day it really eats something terrible. What should I do if I can't afford it? That might be really cool. Hold the Kunwu sword tightly in his hand. The raging sword intent is many times stronger than Zhu Jiangxing's Xingyu sword. The sword body is still about 3 feet old, but it can't stop the Kunwu sword at all. The destructive sword intent crazily vented. The Kunwu sword is divided into sections, and each section represents a different power. I have felt it since the chaotic villain spit out this sword, but this is also good. It is best to give me a limit. Otherwise. End of this chapter. Chapter 194 The Immortal Douluo and -039. Question. This sword intent. Guagua was suspended in the air, his eyes fixed on Fei and the Kunwu bone sword he held in his hand. This kind of sword is so powerful that it seems to have reached the level of a divine weapon. Is it the ability to destroy the crown? Or is it the reason for life? Otherwise, how could it be possible to have such a divine weapon? This sword has an extraordinary history, compared to what I know. Most of the artifacts are much stronger. Guagua really wanted to go down and take a closer look, but he still suppressed the strong desire in his heart. However, there seems to be a big limitation. This bone sword is very similar to the spine. This bone sword has 12 sections. Each section should represent a different kind of power. Similarly, a large amount of energy must be injected to open it. Power, is exactly the same as the way to open ordinary artifacts. It seems very simple. It seems that the battle is about to end. Once this bone sword is used, let alone a water and fire crab, even a 10,000-year soul beast will be beaten to pieces. Guagua shook his head helplessly, but then thought that he would be able to eat delicious food soon, and now all distracting thoughts disappeared. Delicious fried crab? Hahaha, not bad. Below, both Yilanshan and Hulina looked at Fei standing in front of them. That sword, is it a copied martial spirit? Hulina looked at it with some doubts, but she didn't feel like it, thinking that she only felt the endless indescribable power on this sword, and didn't perceive it. The kind of affinity similar to Wuhan. Yilanshan knew the origin of this sword, and also felt the power of the Kunwu sword, so she didn't have much doubts. It's not a martial soul, it's just a sword, but it's a very powerful sword. Of course, I have never seen Fei use it himself. Fei didn't answer Hulina's doubts. The Kunwu sword was a special secret to him, even more mysterious than the replica Wuhan, so he said he had to be vigilant all the time. Up. Fei stood on tiptoe and lifted the Kunwu sword in his hand instantly from the sky. Fei's back grew flaming wings similar to Yan's, but Fei's flaming wings were lavender flames, which looked very beautiful and gorgeous, and the burning degree of that flame was much stronger than Yan's. Third sister, just wait and see what happens. I want to face this water and fire crab with Fei. A gust of wind blew, and at some point there were many young green leaves in the air. The leaves fell gracefully on the floating leaves, and then walked towards the sky step by step. Elegant, beautiful, with an unusual temperament, the slightly blown light green long hair embellishes this pale world, and the original deep black mist becomes cheerful, as if every trace of soul power has gained their own life. Yilanshan's whole person also changed. The first is her overall height, which reached more than 1.7 meters almost instantly, and the appearance of the whole person has also been changed. The original iceberg-like face has become very kind, and seems to be kind enough to give life to everything. What a nice view. Is there really such a daughter body in the world? I may have never seen it. Looking up at Yilanshan's flowing skirt, scattered light green long hair, and her flawless face, Hulina was completely infatuated. It's over. Guagua stared at this scene at the same time. Hey, I'm going to die. Both of you have shown such momentum. This is a team trial. Guagua wanted to stop him, but just as he was about to fall, he suddenly grabbed Guagua firmly with both hands. Immortal Teacher suddenly appeared in the sky. Immortal Douluo stared at Fei who was flying in the air below and Yilanshan who was standing in the air, and sighed reminiscently. You just stand here honestly and watch. Although the team trial is a trial, I also want to see how strong the master and whole master are this time. Immortal Douluo looked at Guagua. Just wait and eat the fried crab. Guagua was speechless for a while, but this is too exaggerated. If I read correctly, the sword in Brother Destroyer's hand is a divine weapon, right? You can't hide it from me. How can we say that our clan also has a lot of divine weapons? What kind of god's artifact is that? Undead Douluo shook his head. Who do you ask this old man? I can only say that I don't know, but this sword is at most an artifact of a first level divine mansion, so you don't need to be so surprised, right? At that time, he had so many super artifacts, but now they are all collected by the gluttonous woman. Of course I know this. Doesn't that guy from the god realm still have one? a super artifact, but after all, it's a clone. Even if you have a super artifact, you can't exert real power. Otherwise, my stupid brother won't be able to use it. If I escape here, I'm afraid I'll die in the god realm directly. Otherwise, what do you think? Don't you also look down on our 7 clones? I'm afraid that just one of the 10 commandments is enough to destroy you. Immortal Douluo folded his hands and watched the battle below calmly. Yes, you are amazing. You are all a bunch of perverts. Anyway, I figured it out. I'm alive everywhere, and my lifespan is unlimited. Why should I do those unrealistic things? Stay in this high-level continent is actually not bad. Immortal Douluo said, of course, there are gold soul coins to earn, and there are so many strange things that are worth exploring. Why do you have to become a god? It's boring. Becoming a god. Haha, don't be joking. I have been in this continent for so long. How many can become gods? How many of those forces with the inheritance of gods have become gods? Say this continent is the high-ranking mainland, but the gods are those few, and none of them are powerful, so my stupid brother has no means to use our clan's Zageo artifact. Otherwise, the gods will be pierced by you. Hahaha, as a brother, you really demeaned your brother as worthless, but it's also the same reason. Anyway, it has nothing to do with us. Guagua stuck out his tongue and looked down. I just don't know how many people in the same generation as Brother Destroyer are able to lead the way. I'm afraid not. After all, I met Brother Destroyer, a man who was so crazy that he even killed the God King casually. I really dare not think, why did he establish power on this continent in the first place? What? If you were in the god realm, you might not encounter such divine punishment if you rely on the god realm, right? But he is also an infatuated person. What do you know about this? It's his father who sent God's punishment. We can't do anything about it. Even if it's stronger than our Kai King Palace, compared with that one, it's just vulnerable and curled up at the foot. End of this chapter. Chapter 195 The Immortal Douluo and -039 S question. Yeah, there are powerful existences everywhere, and those like us who can survive for a long time are considered incredible. We have gone through the changes in the continent, and we fell asleep because the Lord did not come out, and we will start because the Lord is here. Reactivation, appearance again and again, return again and again, without end, meaningless. Undead Douluo seemed to be looking up to the sky and screaming. His blood-colored eyes were staring at Fei and Lanshan who were flying together in the air below. Quack, do you think there is really such a long-lasting love in this world? Why can't I find Rorao? Did she forget me? Guagua shook his head. My family only believes in inheritance, not in love and hate, but I was lucky enough to meet 2 couples, and I seem to have changed my mind. Yes, there must be. Greedy dad, you have to believe, there are 2 couples in the world. There is always someone waiting for you there. Maybe she has forgotten you. Maybe everything has changed, but you once loved. Greedy dad. Undead Douluo smiled, reluctantly, with a bitter taste in it. I want to see my poor daughter. I really want to make up for her, but I'm very afraid. I'm afraid that she will complaining why I didn't save Rorao. What should I do? What should I do? Guagua raised his frog hand and pointed to Fei and Lanshan below. Make friends. Let sister life and brother ruin make friends with your daughter. In that case, the chances of your daughter becoming a god will be greatly increased. If you become a god, you won't die, even if it's just the weakest god. Even if it's a priest, go to the god realm and reunite with your clone. Make friends? Undead Douluo shook his head. I don't want my daughter to make the same mistakes as the old man. This time the palace master is very different, destroying the crown. Do you know what it means? And, now you have the artifact. Look, the battle is coming to an end. Alas, it's not as interesting as it was just now. It's obvious that those little guys are still very interesting to fight, but it's changed from a massacre to a killing battle. It's boring. What should I do if I don't make friends? Anyway, I can't think of any way, but my sister who has never met seems to have transformed into a form. It's not bad to let her practice by herself, or you take it with you, with your treasures. It's also possible to let my sister become a god teacher. Won't she live a long time like this? The God Master is a higher level than the Soul Master, and if I remember correctly, the lazy guy brought this profession from another world, right? He must have a way. Besides, he is also an uncle, right? Question mark? Definitely happy to help. Immortal Douluo looked at the splashed shell of the water and fire crab that fell apart in an instant and said indifferently, the battle is really over so soon. I will talk about the matter of the God Master in the future. Let's go and judge this group of little guys. In this battle, the old man has a lot of words to vent. Hearing the word vent, Gugu beside him couldn't help but tremble. Well, I didn't see it. The sixth brother's method is really unmatched. This sword actually directly penetrated the so-called absolute defense shell of the water and fire crab. I feel guilty. Obviously this should be what the few of us should do things. Ziyu nodded as she stared at the broken crab shells of different colors all over the floor and looked at Ji-Fei excitedly. Just now, Ji-Fei stabbed fiercely with the sword that fell from the sky, and the powerful force actually cut down the center of the water and fire crab. And just as Ji-Fei said, the water and fire crab cannot defend from multiple positions. Even if it is from 2 positions at the same time, it can only defend one by one. This disadvantage is too great. Indeed, it may be an absolute offense and defense in a duel, but facing a group like them, there is really nothing they can do. They can only stand there and be beaten. And the funny thing is that the water and fire crab started to run away after Ji-Fei chopped off a part of its arm, but maybe because of the panic for a while, it just walked sideways and couldn't dodge these potholes on the ground at all. As Ji-Fei mentioned before, sometimes natural control is much more effective than soul skill control, and it is even more practical. Brother Ziyu praised me. If you hadn't restrained the water and fire crab, I wouldn't have been able to defeat the water and fire crab with one blow, and I feel that I should be most grateful to Lan Shan. Without Lan Shan's auxiliary soul skills, we would have encountered, let alone the water and fire crab. I'm afraid it's a little bit reluctant to stand in front of it. Suddenly, Zhu Jiangxing, who was standing aside, walked towards Ji-Fei. Ji-Fei, what was that sword just now? Why did I feel the restlessness of the sword glow in my body, as well as a sense of surrender from my sword soul skills and even the sword martial soul? Zhu Jiangxing's expression was more or less unnatural. Just when he and Ji-Fei wanted to use the strongest attack to defeat the water and fire crab in one fell swoop, the long sword from Ji-Fei's hand suddenly released a particularly terrifying coercion. In just a split second, the directness of the flashing thunder and lightning sword soul skill that he was about to release was suppressed instantly, and the restless thunder that included the soul power of his whole body was suppressed in an instant. This is something he can't imagine at all, and he can't believe it at all, but the more he doesn't want to admit it, the deeper it is, the more he wants to escape, the more memorable it is, so the only thing he can think of is to ask Claire. Only by asking and understanding can he dispel the special feeling in his heart. That sword. Ji-Fei didn't know how to explain it. He couldn't say that it was the Kunwu sword spit out by the chaotic villain, could he? Moreover, the Kunwu sword is a genuine artifact, but he cannot exert its true power. Just as Ji-Fei was hesitating how to explain to Zhu Jiangxing, there was a loud noise in the sky, and Immortal Douluo and Guagua instantly fell to the ground. However, the fall of undead Douluo and Guagua did not fall directly from the sky, but was accompanied by a flying momentum. Ji-Fei and the others suddenly took several steps back. Ji-Fei and the others were still very puzzled. Immortal Douluo was going to make a fuss again. He just wanted to ask. But Immortal Douluo spoke first. This is the genius cultivated by the old man with exhaustion. The characters who have accepted the baptism of the evil god spring, one by one bragging about how powerful their newly acquired soul skills are. And the end? The end? This is the answer sheet you will hand over to the old man. Answer the old man. Is this the answer sheet you gave the old man? Ji-Fei remained silent, and the smiles on the faces of Ziyu and the others gradually faded away. They had nothing to refute. Indeed, it was their offensive line that made the most mistakes. End of this chapter. Chapter 196. The Immortal Douluo and -039's question. Faced with undead Douluo's questioning, Ji-Fei and the others had no reason to refute. After all, what undead Douluo said was the truth, and the few of them knew it deeply. Immortal Douluo looked at Ziyu with an emotionless expression, as if he was asking, do you know where your mistake is? Ziyu said dully, Mr. Undead, this time it was mainly my mistake. I was too conceited, and it has nothing to do with other people. If I hadn't been too conceited, I wouldn't have fought against the water and fire crabs alone. I won't die under the fireball attack of the water and fire crab because of a mistake, and it is also because of me that the original plan designated by the sixth brother was disrupted. Conceited, arrogant, unconscious. Is this the so-called generation of geniuses cultivated by your spirit hall? To be honest, through this battle, I discovered that you have too many shortcomings. Immortal Douluo Sao. He glanced at Fei and the others. Not only Ziyu, but also the few of you. Your actions also disappointed the old man. Although you don't have a lot of mistakes, the cooperation of the few of you is really bad. Fei, you understand the meaning of the old man very clearly, but did you position yourself as a control type soul master from the beginning? What the old man wants to see is the cooperation of the few of you. Even if you are facing a soul beast, we must also show our real strength and cooperate together. The purpose of this old man is also very simple. To train you to become multi-system soul masters, not to be wastes who can only shoulder one responsibility when standing on the battlefield. If you simply feel that the battle of soul masters is to perform their duties, then the direction you can go on the road of soul masters will end in soul saints. Don't think that this old man is scaremongering. Every word of Immortal Douluo's words was like a sharp long needle piercing into the bodies of Fei and the others. They naturally believed in Undying Douluo's words, because they were not comparable in strength and insight, and Undying Douluo was still their teacher, and has been teaching them the knowledge of soul master cultivation. You are indeed very strong, several times stronger than soul masters of the same age, but your temperament is also the most impetuous I have ever seen. Zhu Jiangxing and Huo Rai are the most stable in performance, and each of them can do things quickly. If you can't react, at least Huo Rao, as an agility attack system soul master, didn't do anything unfavorable to herself without receiving instructions. Immortal Douluo's gaze moved slightly. Hulina, your soul skill can be used as a powerful spiritual attack type soul skill instead of standing still and watching this battle. Of course, Fei's strategy is not a problem, but the old man feels that, if you really want to grow, you should fight the necessary battles. Hulina lowered her head. Undying Douluo's words didn't shock her, but just reminded her of something. Am I still too cowardly? Hulina questioned herself secretly. Forget it, forget it. The performance of the few of you is too much for the old man to evaluate. Strong type soul masters don't look like storm type soul masters, and control type soul masters don't have a deep understanding of their abilities. Ziyu blamed herself even more, and the main reason was him. If he hadn't forced himself to fight the water and fire crab just now, Fei's strategy would still be carried out according to the original plan. Some small mistakes will at best break the battle situation again, and it will not cause the current situation at all. Mr. Undead, we all know our mistakes. Through this battle with the soul beast, we have also deeply realized our shortcomings and gaps. Fei looked at Undead Douluo. It really directly picked out the shortcomings that several of them have been afraid to face. Fei also felt that this was a very good opportunity, at least to start to solve the problems that each of them needed to change. Oh, then tell me about your shortcomings and gaps. If you can get the old man to agree, the old man will consider not punishing you. If what you said can't be recognized by the old man, your punishment will be twice as much as the others. Fei seemed to see a strong sense of playfulness from Undead Douluo's expressionless face, which was different from the anger just now. It seemed that Undead Douluo's mood was undergoing a very subtle change. Fei looked at Lanshan, then at the low-key Ziyu and several other people. This feeling of controlling other people's fate as well as his own is really unsettling in general. Comfortable. As you said just now, Teacher Undead, we are already considered the top existence among our peers in terms of strength, so can I understand this sentence as the seven of us in terms of soul power level and fighting talent? It has been approved by Immortal Teacher and Guagua. Immortal Douluo showed a wicked smile, but such a wicked smile made the originally extremely suppressed breath suddenly lack. Guagua stood on Undead Douluo's shoulder and didn't speak. but stuck out his tongue, saying that this matter had nothing to do with me at all. What I did was not to judge the result of your battle. I was just protecting you. I was hurt by a soul beast, so don't ask me. I don't know anything. Seeing that Undying Douluo didn't answer, Fei took it as Undying Douluo acquiescing to his words. Then since this is the case, even if we are recognized in terms of strength, we can't satisfy Master Undead. Then I can only say that it is the character of each of us. Each of us has different personalities, but there is one thing that is very similar, and that is childishness. Childish? Ziyu and the others glanced at each other, and it seemed that it was exactly the same as what Fei said. Among the 7 of them, Fei and Yi Lanshan were the youngest, but on the contrary, they were the most stable in character and calmest at all times. It was also Fei and Yi Lanshan. The 2 of them have maturity of mind that they shouldn't have at this age. Maybe my next paragraph will offend a few of you, but I think, in order to practice better in the future and let you know yourself better, I feel that I should talk about it at this time, otherwise it may be too late to change later. Immortal Douluo nodded. Yes, you have successfully aroused the interest of the old man, and the punishment will be reduced by 1 item. 1 item less. Fei suddenly felt that he might be cheated by Undead Douluo. Although he didn't show it, he already had such a feeling in his heart. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197. Fei asked repeatedly, "Can I reduce the punishment for us by answering so many questions?" And from Teacher Immortal's tone, it seems that he is really angry with our performance this time. There is no other way. I have to come up with some real facts. Even if it's not for me, I can't let Lanshan be punished with me. Fei's head was spinning rapidly. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he was racking his brains now. Fei was completely unexpected about the impact this time, and it was even more unexpected that Undying Douluo would be so angry. Don't work too hard on yourself. It doesn't matter if you can't think of a reason. Isn't it just a punishment? I will accompany you. Yi Lanshan's voice resounded in Fei's mind again. Every time when Fei was most confused, every time was such a perfect redemption. There is no difficulty. I was just thinking about how to comprehensively summarize the shortcomings of each of us in this battle. Of course, what you did is the most perfect, so it is precisely because of this. So I can think less of one spoof. How are you going to tell it? It's been a long time since I've seen Teacher Undead go into such a deep way about a matter. If it's normal, when you say think about it, Teacher Undead may have already said stop or change the topic, but this time is completely different, so you have to be careful. Fei said, "Don't worry, I've already thought about it, and this time with your reminder, I can almost give Master Undead a perfect answer." Cough cough cough. It's time to think, and Undying Douluo is not the kind of direct aggressive to ask Fei to directly tell what he thinks is wrong. For Fei, this is to give Fei a time to think, a time to summarize the thoughts that only exist in his mind. That's why Fei feels that this is a pitfall of the Undead Douluo. If it is based on the terrifying aura of the Undead Douluo just now, it would be perfectly normal for Fei and the others to be punished directly, but the Undead Douluo didn't do that, but instead shifted the topic to Fei. This is trust. No, maybe there was some trust in it, but Fei could tell that Immortal Douluo wanted to use his own hand to wake Ziyu and the others out of their confusion. This is not an easy task, even a little difficult. The rest of the people looked at Fei, who came back to his senses. What Fei said just now really changed Undead Douluo's mind a little bit. So, all of them saw something called hope in Fei. However, what Fei said before was still lingering in their minds. The next words may offend them. Fei's words made them startled and ashamed, especially Ziyu, who was the biggest mistake in this matter, but he still couldn't tell Undead Douluo about the so-called mistakes like Fei point. So in his opinion, even if Fei hung him up and scolded him, no matter how harsh the scolding was, he would not have a word of rebuttal. Mr. Immortal, then listen carefully. I hope my answer can save you from the punishment of us. Of course, I believe you will not deceive us. Immortal Douluo nodded. Of course I won't lie to you, but I've said it before. If your answer doesn't impress me, it's a pity that you will get a weight twice as heavy as this. Punishment. The old man has always been a person who clearly rewards and punishes. I feel more relieved after hearing what Master Undead said. So Jifei's gaze shifted from Immortal Douluo to Ziyu and the others, and at the same time, the slightly kind gaze instantly became cold, and the distinct black pupils also slightly turned purple, slightly floating lavender hair without wind automatically. The strong oppressive force made Ziyu and the others tremble suddenly, and they didn't even dare to face Jifei's sharp gaze for a moment, as if they would be directly linked. If they came into contact with Jifei's sharp gaze, one's own willpower will destroy the general together. All that remains is horror. At the same time, if they want to resist such terrifying gazes, they can only choose to lower their heads and not make contact with these terrifying gazes. Otherwise, they have not been punished by Undead Douluo. Oh no. From Teacher Undead's point of view, our mistakes. Raise your heads up. Since you have done something wrong, don't choose to bow your head and dare not admit it. Otherwise, even I will look down on you. If you are looked down upon by me, you will only be humble in my eyes. Jifei's words awakened Ziyu and the others. They clenched their fists tightly, then slowly raised their heads, and at the same time, their eyes met Jifei's deep and terrifying gaze. Hehehe, it looks pretty good. Continue the topic just now. Why does it feel like the sixth brother is a completely different person? This terrifying feeling, and this aura is different from that of Undead Douluo, but the difference is really not much, and it is the most frightening. What I believe is that this kind of momentum will be released on such a young child, which is even more unbelievable. Hulina stared at Jifei very curiously, and at the same time, looked at Yi Lanshan with some doubts, thinking that if it was Yi Lanshan, she would definitely know about it. But Yi Lanshan just signaled Hulina to watch Jifei. Everything will become clear gradually. Greedy dad, it's this breath. This is the breath of destruction. The real breath of destruction. Is this just a little bit accompanied by the release of emotions? So it's already so terrifying? It seems completely different from before. No wonder Sister Life came out in person. Maybe this is the real return. But this time the memory may recover more quickly. I'm afraid that the tragedy will happen more quickly. Yeah, it's this kind of aura. How many years has the old man not felt this kind of aura? Everything has its own destiny. What the old man needs to do is to protect it. But you see, old man, isn't it scary when I'm serious? Cut. It's not as good as me. Greedy dad, you can't do it. You should come up and scold your face and then go to the next steps. You messed up too, but the results should still not change. Let's watch slowly. I'm really looking forward to it. Quack stuck out his scarlet tongue to express his boredom. End of this chapter. Chapter 198. Jifei asked repeatedly. In what way will Jifei present points of error for Undead Douluo? First, we are going to talk about the person who made the most mistakes this time around. Jifei's gaze swept across and landed on Ziyu without leaving any trace. Brother Ziyu, there is no doubt that there is no need to be taboo. The most serious mistake this time led to the current situation is Ziyu herself. Ziyu felt all over for a while. He knew that, no matter who told the story, the fact that he was the root cause of the mistake could not be changed at all. But he would not refute anything. After all, his idea at the time was to defeat the water and fire crabs by himself. It was he who thought he had the blessing of soul power, and he also had the assistance of an avatar. 2. Level soul masters. How could it be possible to be afraid of a firmly controlled water and fire crab? Brother Ziyu's strength is indeed obvious to all of us. I won't judge too much on this point. What I mainly want to say is that Brother Ziyu's character is a matter of attitude. I don't like beating around the bush either. In my opinion, Teacher Undead's questioning is not because of our poor cooperation, nor is it because Brother Ziyu almost got seriously injured by water and fire crabs. What Teacher Undead is questioning is our attitude, attested as a kind of our heart. Manner. Heart. Ziyu's head, which was originally slightly lowered, suddenly raised again, and for some reason, her originally dim eyes brightened instantly, as if dotted with many stars. When Ji-Fei saw this scene, he didn't express an overly obvious expression, but continued to talk about his own affairs. As I said a long time ago, the strength of the 7 of us is definitely one among our peers, but too strong strength will gradually make us lose ourselves. Like Brother Xiao, I dare say that he was too confident in his own strength at that time. This is the disadvantage shown after his own strength became stronger. If it was before, Brother Xiao, you would choose to fight against the water and fire crab. This is completely talking about Ziyu's heart. Ziyu shook her head quickly. Of course not. Maybe it is possible for me to escape. Of course. Even if I escape, I will take you with me. That's right. It's okay to escape without such strength, but it's precisely because we have such strength that we should better control those strange thoughts that pop up in our heads from time to time. These weird ideas can be said to be the deadliest at times. Secondly, it's my fault. Brother Ziyu's decisiveness is something I didn't expect. As a control type soul master who controls the battle situation, it's my fault that I don't know everyone. If we get along, each of us can gradually open up and talk about our shortcomings so as to supervise and change. But looking at it now, maybe I'm wrong. Ji-Fei sighed. Brother Ziyu's brainlessness, Brother Yan's stupidity, Sister Na's indecision, Giant Crossing's suspicion, Huorao's uniqueness, my arrogance and arrogance thinking that everything is under my control hand in hand, weak and too confident. These intertwined constitute the biggest drawback of our team. Although the words are hard to hear, everyone, this is what I, Ji-Fei, want to point out, and it's what I discovered during the time I stayed with you. Ji-Fei bowed to apologize. I'm sorry, I didn't think so much. Ziyu hastily pressed Ji-Fei's shoulder, and her expression became unnatural. Sixth brother, you don't have to apologize. What you said is completely correct. We are the ones who should apologize the most, and we just put this as a springboard. We have always centered on the spirit hall. Ziyu continued. Sixth brother, you are very right. My brainless and IQ rampage disrupting the planned plan is the fundamental original sin. Ji-Fei looked at Ziyu, and just as he was about to speak, a voice sounded from the other side. No, it's not. This is just a flashpoint, and it is precisely because of this that the old man was able to let one of you clarify all of this. Undead Douluo took 2 steps forward and said earnestly, you guys come from different forces, and each of you has your own things to abide by, but what I want to tell you is that you are still young, so you shouldn't think about it. With so many things, what you should cultivate now is a fixed and cooperative mind, and a mind that is too scattered will make big mistakes on the road of soul masters in the future. Ji-Fei nodded at the same time. In my opinion, Brother Ziyu, Brother Yan, and Sister Na are like a team of villains. If you continue to cultivate with this kind of heart, you will lose to beings weaker than yourself in the future. This is not alarmist talk. Just like villains always die from talking too much, arrogance is the most fatal wound. And Giant Crossing and Huo Rao are like hermits, and they are the kind of people who hide in the city. Although they are in the team, they are the most basic strength in the team. This will gradually. I even lost myself. Yan was also silent. Hulina was also silent. Zhu Jiangxing was also silent. Huo Rao pinched the hem of her clothes. Only Yi Lanshan looked at Ji-Fei with amazing eyes. This metaphor is very appropriate. It's like this. If I were to say it, it would definitely be the same as Brother Destroyer, with the same tone and the same words. Not even a single word. Quack patted his frog's paw to express his amazement. But no one went along with it, because this is their most fatal injury, and this is what the team needs to improve the most. They finally understood why Undead Douluo said that he would let them improve their soul power again. It is an unacceptable fact that they will be led to another endless abyss if they have a strong mind at their age. Teacher Immortal, please tell us, what should we do to change the status quo? Or, sixth brother, what should we do to change? Ziyu looked at Ji-Fei and Undead Douluo very anxiously. For him, being too hot-blooded is the most important thing to solve. Brother Ziyu, you're impulsive again. Ji-Fei pointed to Ziyu while gesturing at his head. Before doing anything, filter this matter out of your head. It will be much better. Look, Brother Yan and the others are all silent and deep in thought, so they don't have the idea of mindless impulsiveness. Of course, I'm too confident when I say this now. This is our shortcoming. such emotions will be exposed invisibly. So, I really want to be like Lanshan, not speaking, staying silent. Word spread in Yi Lanshan's mind, the blow seems to be a bit heavy. And it's still up to you, the blow is even worse. Jifei Chuanian replied, if you don't attack now, Brother Ziyu and the others will suffer sooner or later. Just like the comparison I made just now, they are just a group of villains. End of this chapter. Chapter 199. Jifei asked repeatedly, are you excited again? It seems that this is what will appear in my subconscious. It is really a huge hazard. Ziyu deeply understood what Jifei said, and at the same time, he was very grateful to Jifei for making him realize what his mistake was so quickly. What will happen if we change our attitude? Will there be a substantial improvement? Zhu Jiangxing raised his head and looked at Jifei as if he had finished the short but meaningful thinking just now. This time Jifei did not answer. Even if he was asked to answer such a thing, he would not be able to explain it clearly. All he considered from the beginning to the end was what they should change. Now he has the answer. But Jifei didn't think about what effect would be obtained after the change. It's good to learn to change. It's not trying to learn to change, but you have to change. As for the final result, I can't tell you, but your own strength and the cooperation of each of you will reach the most perfect level. At that time, humility will become synonymous with your strength, and strength will become your inherent image. Immortal Douluo's words can always make people regain the self-confidence that fell on the ground, no matter when it is. This will not change. Is this so? Can I become stronger? Is my personality shortcoming that I'm too suspicious? Yes, I'm too suspicious. No matter what kind of thing, I think about what I should do to avoid it. I will be discovered by other people. This is my fixed personality. Can this be changed? Why not? As long as we work hard and combine the correct methods, we can definitely change the current disadvantages. We shouldn't have any psychological pressure. Remember, we are still young, and it is still easy to change, but this it is easy, and must be built on hard work. Jifei made it very clear that he had awakened Ziyu and the others from their fantasy of invincibility before, but now Ziyu and the others were in confusion, and it was precisely because of this that Jifei came back to answer their confusion now, so this is the most appropriate time. Can it still be changed? Zhu Jiangxing's eyes flickered with an inexplicable sense of hope when he heard Jifei's words. His father had told him this since he was a child. In fact, he can be regarded as the type who sees it thoroughly, but this does not mean that he will not suspect others when he does anything, because he knows very well that there is no relationship between soul masters. What is true friendship? Friends may become the last enemies in the future. Jifei looked at Undead Douluo and said confidently, how about Teacher Undead? Is what I said correct? At least in my consciousness, my entry point is not the strength of each of the 7 of us, so I say this is exactly what you want, Teacher Undead. In fact, I can see that Teacher Undead is angry because of this. You know that each of us is very powerful, but we just don't know how to think rationally. If so, not only will there be no achievements due to the powerful power in the future, maybe it will be attacked by unknown sources because of this powerful power. Look, what I have said is so detailed, and everyone else has more or less understood their own shortcomings and fatal weaknesses, and the original not so harmonious relationship between us has also been pointed out. Isn't this punishment? Jifei frustrates his little hands. Of course, what he fears the most is the punishment that Undead Douluo said. I don't know how terrible this punishment is. If they don't eat for a few days and nights, they will calm down. If Jifei sat there meditating, he would definitely go crazy. Don't be so sad, everyone. I know that what I just said may be a big blow to you, but I just want us to no longer be teammates but real friends. To be honest, I don't have any friends. My younger brother who grew up with me also has his own way to go, and I also hope to go further on the road of Soul Master with you. Everyone raised their heads and all focused their eyes on Jifei. It seems that there is no falsehood at all. This seems to be the first time I have felt such a sincere gaze. Zhu Jiangxing's originally stubborn little face was moved, and his heart, that had been dull for a long time, seemed to be cleared up. Sixth brother. Sixth brother. Sixth brother. Ziyu, Yan, and Hulina said in unison. It's exactly the same as that time. He was never a very talkative guy, but once he puts his mind to it, he can solve everything easily. No matter in terms of strength or attitude, he is exactly the same. Yi Lanshan pursed her lips and smiled. Cough, cough. I have listened too much to expressing my attitude. That's right, what Ji Fei said is absolutely correct. This is what I want you to realize. Immortal Douluo looked at Ji Fei and the others, his voice slightly significantly calm. So is there no more punishment? Ji Fei's heart is very happy now. If you add the happy thing of the disappearance of punishment, it will be double happiness. The boring breath will definitely be swept away. Impossible. Although what you said is not wrong, you can only get rid of the previous punishment, and the last punishment is something you can't escape no matter what. Ah. Ji Fei opened his mouth and couldn't believe that undead Douluo had backtracked. He just said that, if he could persuade him, the punishment would also be eliminated. Mr. Immortal, you are going back on your promises, and you don't advocate it. You should set a good example for us. Hulina pouted and looked very unhappy. That's right, that's right. Seventh sister, hurry up and tell me about your deceitful master. In my opinion, the most important thing to change is Teacher Immortal. Huo Rao also seemed a little depressed. Punishment and the like must be boring and wasteful time. This. Yi Lanshan also looked at undead Douluo. Of course she didn't want to do punishment or anything. I'm still willing to accept the punishment. Ziyu said suddenly, I will bear the responsibility for what I did wrong. So Teacher Immortal only punishes me alone. Teacher Immortal and I, count me in. Since Big Brother Ziyu has already asked to be punished, then I will too. No matter what kind of punishment you accept. Zhu Jiangxing patted his chest to express that he was also willing to accept punishment. No matter what punishment. Yan looked left and right and finally walked towards Ji Fei. Sixth brother, you don't want to accept punishment, do you? Second brother, I will accompany you. End of this chapter. Chapter 200 Dinner. Second brother, can we have some morals? Even if the two of us don't want to be punished, don't make it so obvious. Look, isn't your carefree personality a prelude to revealing your cards? Feeling the gazes from all around, Ji Fei was really embarrassed to the extreme. The most helpless thing about this Yan was that he couldn't keep a secret, and he just said everything he could say. I see. It turns out that talking is so troublesome. Yan scratched his head and then leaned against Ji Fei's ear under the eyes of others and repeated in a low voice, Sixth brother, don't you also want to accept punishment? Second brother is with you, and second brother also does not want to accept immortality. Teacher's punishment. Ji Fei raised his head and slammed it on his forehead fiercely, frowning helplessly and looking at Yan, who was excited for completing such a feat. He really wanted to ask, Brother Yan, are you really stupid or just pretending? Yan, how could a sixth brother be like you? It's just a punishment. I believe a sixth brother will be with us. Ziyu patted Zhu Jiangxing. Look at Jiangxing. Jiangxing voluntarily accepted the punishment. Obviously he did a great job in the battle just now, helping the sixth brother find the weakness of the water and fire crab, but he still chose to go with me. What's the matter, Yan? Do you want to escape? Yan stared at Ziyu's questioning gaze. Her strong body seemed to have softened. No, brother Ziyu, there is no such thing at all. I'm testing the sixth brother. Yes, testing sixth brother. But Yan Yu didn't have the strength to say such words, and even slowly lowered his head that was originally raised. Ji Fei wanted to cover his stomach and let out a loud laugh. Here, Yan. Brother Yan. Puff. I can't do it anymore. This brother Yan has completely subverted the image of being tall and mighty, just like a silly child. If you want to laugh, then laugh out loud. Don't hold back. Yi Lanshan's voice echoed in Ji Fei's mind. Ji Fei replied, I'm sorry Lanshan, I forgot. Once I think about something, the voice of mumbling to myself will also sound from your side. I must be laughing wantonly. Hehehe. It's crazy. But it's good, if you can laugh. It's been a long time since I saw you laugh so freely. The smile on your face is always so fake. It's true, how could it be false? It's just that I don't want to laugh too much, because it's really silly. Cough. Cough. I don't care if you try or not. There is no escape from punishment. Not even anyone. Not even the girls. Especially you. Immortal Douluo pointed at Fei. Your punishment is the most serious, but I feel that you will be happy to accept such a punishment. Fei shook his head seriously. Mr. Immortal, you are joking. How could I, Fei, be punished happily? Unless my head was kicked by a donkey. Is it? Punishment is actually very simple. Cook the most delicious meal for the old man with the dead water and fire crab. Of course, this is your dinner too. It's getting late now, right? But, since Fei you're so unwilling, or you won't have dinner tonight. Immortal Douluo pointed to the faint sun already hanging on the half slope in the distance. It was obvious that the time of preaching was always faster than that of meditating alone. This, Fei said, just this punishment? How can this be called punishment? In fact, I'm also very happy. There is no such thing as dislike. Absolutely no such thing as dislike. Teacher Immortal. Ziyu couldn't believe it. The punishment was so simple. He had already made the plan to be driven directly into the uninhabited land in the depths of the Lost Grand Canyon by undead Douluo, thinking in his heart that, if that was the case, what should he do to find a way out in such a dense fog? Question mark? But looking at it now, this kind of thinking is completely useless, and I think too much. What's the matter? Do you really think the old man is an arrogant and unreasonable old guy? How do you think the old man looks similar to your brother? Although the old man is your teacher, the ones who teach you are also some fatal weaknesses. The scolding at you just now is just to let you deeply understand your own shortcomings. Just like what Fei said, the shortcomings of character are fatal. Soul Masters can attack your weaknesses instead of choosing to attack you. So what would you choose to do? Ziyu woke up suddenly. Weakness. What is my weakness? Fei reminded Ziyu. Just like what I said before. Brother Ziyu, your character is like a type called villain. Rebel? It's the type of people who obviously possess very strong and powerful strength, but die because of talking too much, or because they are too confident in themselves. Fei thought for a while. I don't know if Brother Ziyu still remembers the guy from crossing Luozhu's family in Jia City. Remember? Why don't you remember? That was the first time I saw your special martial spirit, sixth brother, and let that guy recognize you as his father. In the end, I foolishly borrowed gold soul coins and gave them to undead teacher. Fei nodded and said at the same time, that's right, it's that guy. Brother Ziyu, think about it now. What would you do if we didn't have a group of us and acted according to your personality? If you were that guy, what are you going to do? This question asked Ziyu, and the corners of her mouth twitched slightly, as if imagining many ways of answering just now. Seeing this question, Fei obviously stumped Ziyu. Not that she was stumped, but because Ziyu herself was too embarrassed to answer. Fei didn't point it out any further, and the others could more or less understand the meaning, but they didn't point it out to each other. So that's the case. Is this the villain you mentioned, sixth brother? But that guy doesn't seem to have great strength, so he is not considered a successful villain, and he lost embarrassingly. Okay, you can continue the conversation until after the meal, and now you little guys are going to be punished. Undead Douluo clapped his hands. Fei is in charge of cooking. Ziyu, Yan, Zhu Jiangxing, the punishment for the three of you is to chop firewood. Go and chop enough firewood for us. Langshan, Hulina, Huorao, you three follow Guagua go back to the cave to get the necessities for meals, and by the way, pick up seasonings and other things to help Fei, and after returning, Guagua will look for some side dishes in the Lost Grand Canyon and small delicious soul beasts. We are having a big campfire dinner tonight. What about you, Teacher Immortal? Yan asked. End of this chapter. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.